Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another exciting, all-knowing, all-seeing, prophetical episode of Hollywood After Dark. It is, of course, October 16th, 2022. Only 15 more days to Halloween, but tonight we're not talking about that. We're talking about Amouranth. We're talking about G4 TV. And a whole plethora of other things that I can't think of right now because I'm all excited to talk about this crazy situation happening in forms of entertainment here on the internet, which is what Hollywood After Dark is about. By the way, guys, slap the like, tickle your nuts, and let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. It is Sunday night. Yay, right? I mean, it's House of the Dragon episode 9 just dropped. I haven't watched it since episode 1, but I know that the season finale is next week, so I have to play catch up this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Here's what we got going on tonight, talking about Amouranth. Apparently, that's been kind of happening. There's some more information with that or some more reaction to that. We'll be able to look at some stuff. We talked about it last night, but it was so deep into a 4-hour middle of the night live stream that I just wanted to talk about again today. And of course, the big news that G4 TV has once again just been yeeted from existence. I mean, if you think about it, right? They pulled the plug years ago. They brought it back. And they just dropped another bomb on it. They just took it out again, you know. And it's I feel really bad for the people who work there who lost their jobs. That being said, Adam Sessler can go fuck himself. I've never liked Adam Sessler, and I will show you guys exactly why I do not like Adam Sessler, and why I also do not like Jim Sterling back in the day when Jim. I think Steph is it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't follow Jim Sterling. I don't know if Jim goes by Jim anymore or if Jim goes by some other name. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall because I forgot that person exists for the most part. So I just wanted to make that clear. But there is something out there, you know, where you've got to really kind of think about some of the things that Adam Sessler's been a part of. And it's just, man, you know, there's some crap there that you just got to know about when it comes to him. And it's very frustrating in many ways to just kind of to see someone like Sessler get the, get the attention that he's gotten and just be like a complete douchebag in the process, right? Now, I don't know if cocaine played a usage in that. I have no fucking idea. But my speculation, based upon when I've seen him in person, is that, you know what, there might have been some kind of substance going on there. There might have been some kind of situation happening there with some shit. But that being said, Adam is pro-doxing. That's right, Meta. Yes, he is. He's very much pro-doxing. Vito Gasoldi says he wanted to join. So I don't know. I sent him the link. He wants to talk about what's going on. Didn't quite specify just what topic yet. So we can talk about a couple other little things before we get into the main topic tonight. Just because I want to, I'm just kind of curious here about what exactly he has to say about everything. Because it's a very interesting day, you know, with this stuff. And a lot of YouTubers and other people are going to be talking about, you know, they're going to be talking about what's going on with G4, what's going on with Amouranth, with everything else, because that is obviously kind of what we do. However, I guess to start the night off, we can take a quick look here at the top 10 U.S. box office, because it definitely wasn't a bad weekend, but at the same time, Halloween Ends did come in number 1, but only with $41.3 million. That is a drop from what they initially estimated of around $50 million. That was 50 to 55 million is what I'd originally seen. Coming in at 41.3 million with a not great cinema score. And the Rotten Tomato score isn't the best on it either, but obviously this movie is what you would call a conversation starter. More and more people, I think, have been talking about it. They've been trying to understand what's going on. And I do get the impression that as time goes on, what the team, that would be David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, what they were trying to do with this trilogy is one that is going to probably find itself, coming out and maybe being seen in a bit better of a light. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but I'm saying it has interesting themes, and we've talked about it a bunch here the last couple of nights. I'm not going to dive into it, but obviously it did well. It beat out Smile by a great amount. But then again, Smile has been out for a couple weeks now, and this low budget movie has made it's been out 3 weeks and it's made $71 million. And I don't even know what the budget for Smile is. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Smile budget, $17 million, and it's already grossed over 71 million domestic, just domestic. I don't even know the worldwide gross on that yet. So that is at that particular point what you would define an unmitigated success. It is a very, very, very good thing for them. And I always like seeing horror movies get that kind of play, because horror movies are just kind of the most fun to watch in theaters, and they have the lowest production budget. We got Lyle Crocodile pulling in 7.4 million, 22.8 million total, which is just like, oh my God. I watched a trailer for that, and no thank you. Barbarian down here, 1.4 million, 39 mil take home. That's going to hit HBO Max here, I think, this week. Bros only 920,000, having a gross total of 10.8 million. Terrifier 2 in the top 10. And this actually bumped out Top Gun Maverick last week, but Top Gun Maverick has now entered back into the fold with 685,000. I mean, like, that is a low number for even being in the top 10, right? But good for Top Gun Maverick of pulling in $715 million domestic in 21 weeks. That is just, that's wild and crazy and good for them. 100%. It's just, it's going to be nuts. Now, I don't remember if tomorrow is a holiday, right? I don't remember if tomorrow's a holiday or not. So that will have some impact on today's numbers. These are just estimates. We won't know for certain until like Tuesday. But these are just the estimates right now. But you can see here that cinema is not dead, but it's still kind of limping along. I'll be very curious to see how Black Adam does next weekend. I do think that it will probably gross more than $50 million. And I think Halloween Ends is going to plummet by a considerable amount. I wouldn't be surprised if Halloween Ends pulls in somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe under 15 million in its second weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if Smile actually maintains its number 2 spot and Halloween Ends drops down to number 3. That is what I feel is going to happen over the course of this week. They got their money, and it's just something that a lot of people really, really, really aren't doing that. Batman Superman here says an HD copy of Halloween Ends is online because it's available on Peacock. Yeah, we know how piracy works. Oh, okay. Columbus Day was last week. Okay, I wasn't too sure, to be honest with you. I wasn't too sure. I didn't do anything last week, so I don't remember if it was. No holiday tomorrow. Okay, cool. Mladen here says Halloween Kills ruined the excitement for Halloween Ends. That's why it underperformed. I mean, like, I like Halloween Kills. As I talked about, I think Halloween Kills is made better by Halloween Ends and vice versa. I think that the two very much have a lot to say. And it's just, I think, because I watched them, again, quick succession. So for me, it's a little bit different. But then again, that's just how I view it. All right. What we got here? Shut the fuck up. No way. Sorry, I just got sent apparently a screenshot of Black Adam on torrent sites. And come on, no way. No way is Black Adam already on torrent sites. Come on. That ain't true. That ain't true at all. That is just, wait, hold on. No way. I don't believe that. I don't believe that it's already out. I just don't believe it can't be, let's say it's real. It can't be a thing. That's ridiculous there. hold on here. That is just I'll look independently. Because I know I got sent a link to the Pirate Bay as well, but it's not up on some other sites I look at. So not that I'm not going to, I just, I look to see where certain things go sometimes. I'm not talking about, I'm not giving you guys any information. All right. No. Okay. I don't see it up anywhere else. So I'll have to wait and see on that one. Oh man. But all right. If that's the case, here's the thing. I don't want to tell you to download it. I don't want to support that. But if you decide to download it and it is real, let me know. How about that? Right? Like, I won't download it, but I'm curious to know if it's legit or not. How about that? I think that's okay. I think that's all right. All right. So, let me see. I lost where I was at. Son of a bitch. Okay. Here's one I want to talk about real quick, because this kind of cracks me up, right? So, no. Something else I want to touch upon, and then that. All right. So there was the showrunners for the Rings of Power have actually kind of addressed the audience backlash a little bit. And you're curious as well, so you asked me. Here's the thing, dude. Go ahead and download it, man. Go ahead and download. I ain't gonna download it. Like, I'm not downloading that. If you want to download it and let me know if it's real, or find people actually talking about it. I mean, if it was real, it would be all over Twitter. It'd be all over Twitter. There'd be screenshots. There'd be whatever. We'd have the high definition finale, or at least a better shot of the finale. So yeah, I don't know how true that is. What was I sent? I was sent, what was it? I was sent, I guess, a new Black Adam, teaser. And, this is sent to me from Donovan, who is trying to claim that, these new teasers are heavily talking about Superman. So I'm curious here. Let me just try to bring this up full screen, and we will bring it into the fold. No, Jesus Christ. No, Ralph's Double Tits. I'm not saying I want people to pirate the movie. I don't know if it's real or not. Like, I don't think that it is. I'm not going to download it. I'm not telling anybody to download it. I'm just saying, it's like, if it got leaked out early, that's unfortunate. But I have no way of knowing if that's real or if that's a fake torrent. There's fake torrents that are out there. We have no way of knowing. And so if it gets confirmed through other places, then I'll be able to find out. But until then, I don't. But all right, this is the new teaser for Black Adam. Apparently hints at Superman. So let's see this.
There's a world we all know. This year, a new universe awakens.
Black Adam. He's been asleep for 5,000 years.
This loose cannon needs to be locked down.
Good luck.
We will use force if necessary.
Here we go. Force is always necessary. You can be the destroyer of this world, or you can be its savior. There's no one can stop me. Send them all.
I mean, there's a line in there about the universe, right? Or what's this here? What's this here? Is that Wonder Woman? Is because beforehand, remember, this was the scene in the first trailer that had the Steppenwolf shot. And then after that, they changed it to another shot of the mercs that he fights in the cave, which we've seen constantly. So there's that. And then if this is this Wonder Woman though? Like, you guys got to fill me in on that one, because that would be a way to connect it to the Trinity. And that's actually pretty fascinating. Oh, that is Wonder Woman. Okay, cool. So, let's see. You DM me the full fight scene. I mean, yeah, no, I've seen that fight scene flying around, man. Like, there's a lot There's a lot that goes into that. Hold on here. Let's see. Okay. What quality is this thing? Because I'm not going to. This can't be. No, this is from a couple days ago. This is from, yeah, this is not a leak. This is something they put out there, I think. Because, although the quality is kind of questionable. But it does look, I mean, it's too clean to be, well, no, it's got Spanish subtitles. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's crazy. That's effing crazy. It came out, what, 3 days ago. This thing ain't down yet. Like, it's got to, if it's not down yet, then it's definitely a leak. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's definitely a leak. Or it's definitely put out by the studio is what I want to say. So there's that. Just something there to consider. Because you got to think of it from that perspective. If this stuff doesn't go down, then it's going to go from there. Bombery here says, I'm waiting on some proper reviews to know if this is worth watching. Here's my take on that, man. Why don't you, I would say if you're intrigued by the idea of it, go see it. You know, I think reviews only really work after the fact, if you want my honest opinion. So there's that. Like, that's my take on it, because ultimately reviews are just like, they give you an idea, but they can never properly replicate the experience that you're going to have. So I would say if you're at least even remotely intrigued by Black Adam, then go see it. But if you're not intrigued, then just wait. But don't wait for reviews, because that's kind of pointless. You know the person and you kind of you vibe with their sensibility. But I mean, again, it's kind of like it's all surface level these days. I would just go see it. That's what I always take on that shit. What up, Varg? How you doing, buddy? You saw some titties, you came running, huh? That's what happens. This is my brother from down under. Varg is a great guy. And yeah. All right. So talk about the house. I haven't seen the House of the Dragon episode, so I can't talk about that. Like, I can't do it. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? I don't know. Anyway, the thing I want to talk about here, this is kind of cool, is what you've got is a guy by the name of Zach Stentz. And Zach Stentz is a screenwriter for Thor, X-Men First Class, The Flash, Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous, and a bunch of other stuff. This guy's been around for a long time. He is a seasoned screenwriter. He knows Hollywood inside and out. And he posted a really interesting tweet this evening, which very much cracked me up. So he says, I was talking to my media savvy daughter this morning, and she made a reference to people getting mad at new media as guys with YouTube channels where they sit in front of a wall of action figures complaining about things. And I've never heard of such a succinct description of them, which is very true. And that to me cracks me the fuck up, right? Because his daughter, his media savvy daughter, and she's not very old, by the way. You know, these guys with YouTube channels where they just sit in front of a wall of action figures complaining about things. And that is the fandom menace. That is very much the stereotype of who these guys are. And to me, that's great. To me, that's fucking hysterical, because that's calling them out. I mean, he's probably not calling them out directly, but I said, I've dealt with these people for years. They don't actually believe what they say because they know they can grift for money. So then this guy here, this one cracked me up, right? Matt, don't be a hypocrite, mate. You are literally one of them. You just don't have the paraphernalia in the background. And I'm like, what the fuck are you babbling about? It's like, you would do the whole faux fan outrage thing on YouTube too. See, this is the thing. Like, this motherfucker doesn't know who the fuck I am, right? He might have gone like, oh, Jarbo here fucking dislikes The Last Jedi or dislikes Ghostbusters, you know? And I give proper reasons as to why I'm not a fan of either property. But I also provide criticism and critique about why I'm not fans of those properties. But I do give them a fair shake. I give them a fair chance. I felt I didn't want to really see Captain Marvel going in. Thought the movie was fine. I've watched it a couple times. No shade at it. But people like this crack me the fuck up, though, because it's just like this idea that like I'm some kind of faux outrage person when I obviously do not do that. But I love that they're like, you just don't have the paraphernalia. Like, I just don't. I have a different looking setup. That to me cracks me up, man. He's talking about Mundane Matt. Yeah, he is talking about the Mundane Matt era, but it's so funny to me that doesn't know me now, and even then didn't know me then, but it's lumping me in with other people, and that is just how these things go, though. That's how all this shit always fucking goes. That is just how Hollywood is. But anyway, looking at all this crap, we can see here that that this shit's all performative, and it's all subjective or whatever. But here's something that's probably going to trigger some chuds, because this is how they operate. Finding out today that Rian Johnson reveals that Daniel Craig's character of Benoit Blanc is gay during a press conference for Glass Onion. Here's the thing, is I really enjoyed Knives Out. Can't wait to watch Glass Onion. Daniel Craig's sexuality has never once popped into my mind as anything worth to think about. So cool that he's gay. Is that going to be a character arc, or is that just something that they reveal? And I say it like that because if you followed any of the coverage, I'm going to go back to Last Jedi real quick. If you follow any of the post coverage, the post conversation from the talent with The Last Jedi, every motherfucker and their mother was force sensitive in that goddamn movie, right? Admiral Holdo was force sensitive, apparently. Poe Dameron was force sensitive. We start, obviously going into fucking even The Rise of Skywalker, Finn is force sensitive. In the sequel trilogy, everyone is force sensitive. They have even Broom Boy in The Last Jedi. Every motherfucker and their mother is force sensitive. It didn't serve the plot. It was just something that was added in for window dressing, whatever the fuck. It didn't really add into the plot because it wasn't even remotely, it was set up, it was teased to be talked about. But at the end of the day, it was there, and it was a plot point that fell flat. It didn't go anywhere. It just kind of alleywayed itself, dead ended itself. So if hey, look, Rian Johnson's like, oh yeah, Daniel Craig's character is gay in the movies. Cool. And okay, all right. This is the stuff again. I don't have any problem with representation. I'm totally for it, but I'm just kind of I'm just who does it matter? Does it matter at this point? Is it just it's something show it, don't tell it, I guess is the way I view it. Because but then again, when you say things like this and it gets clipped out the way that it's getting clipped out, then people can run through, oh, it's gay propaganda, because that's where we are right now. It's fucking goddamn it, man. So stupid. Tony here asking, why are characters gay years after the fact? I don't. In the case of, let's say, Dumbledore and that whole reveal, I don't quite know what the fuck J.K. Rowling was thinking with that. I think she did it. She knew the sales had already come in, and she didn't want to already piss off a lot of the people that were because you got to remember, when Harry Potter, the books and the movies started getting real popular in the early 2000s, there was a big push from Christian conservatives that were trying to boycott the books, ban the books, boycott the movies, things like that, because it dealt with witchcraft and wizardry, and that is satanic. Satan's going to come out of the television and turn your children into fucking deviants and pedophiles and all sorts of shit like that. That's what they claim is going to happen. That's what they think is going to happen. Not at all what happens, right? But it's even my aunt and uncle, who are diehard fucking Christians. My uncle was a pastor, was still wouldn't let my two younger cousins watch or read Harry Potter. And then I'd go to their house and we'll sit down and we'll have dinner and we'll watch The Mask of Zorro, where at one point the villain in that movie legitimately pulls out a jar, and inside the jar is the severed head of an enemy, and then he drinks water out of the glass with the head in it, and it's that's okay, but a kid with a wand playing with his wand isn't. I'm Jesus, because I did use a Scottish accent. I did do that. No, Daredevil. I felt bad about that. I was going to do the charity stream today. I wasn't feeling well. And I woke up at 2:15. I was going to do it at 2 p.m. I took a nap. I woke up at 2:15. I was just not feeling good. Super queasy for some reason. Feeling a little bit better now, but that's why I'm not going to stream for for a super long amount of time tonight. But we will be doing it probably next week. I just got to reschedule. Ralph's Double Tits here asking, imagine if that was My Little Pony jar. Why was that a Freudian slip there, buddy? that a Freudian slip? Your little pony jar? No, man, that's disgusting. Why do dudes feel the need? I don't understand that, Ralph. I don't get that at all. Why do dudes feel the need to take a jar, to put a My Little Pony figurine in it, and then just incessantly jerk off into it and fill the cup? Like, just fill the cup. I don't get it at all. Maverick here asking, maybe you're pregnant. I mean, maybe. I don't know, man. We had really bad air quality index today, last night and today, and that might have been it. It was really, really bad. Varg here says, Matt doesn't know about the MLP jar. No, I know, like, in essence, what the MLP jar is. So that's kind of, I know what the MLP jar is. I don't know why that is, though. Okay. Oh, you're answering Tony's questions. Okay, great. So you're doing it to them. Cool. What's up, Meta? You were, your presence was requested on stream last night because we were talking about the Bayonetta thing. And apparently I have either the wrong take or whatever. I don't quite know. Who knows what my takes are these days? Donovan here says MLP is the most evil witchcraft ever. Is it though? I mean, like, look, man, a bunch of dudes into ponies, and that's the fucking fan base, let's be fair. But a bunch of dudes into ponies ain't like the end of the world. Now, dudes who take a Twilight Sparkle plushie and insert a fleshlight into that plushie, who then also put Twilight Sparkle into BDSM clothing and then have sex with it. Yeah. I don't normally say certain people need Jesus, but that motherfucker needs Jesus. So there's a lot there. Let's see here. I bet next Matt, those like him will stop shilling for Rings of Power. Rings of Power was fucking good, dude. In fact, that's actually that was actually the thing I wanted to talk about real quick before the last two subjects. Because I kind of spaced on it. The creators of the Rings of Power have actually addressed the audience reactions to season 1. Being asked here in an interview, are there any aspects of the audience? Sorry, let me get this on screen. Are there any aspects of the audience response to the first season that you plan on incorporating into the second season? JD Payne here says, we're certainly listening to the critics and to our audience. You don't want to give one voice too much weight, but figure out what people are responding to in the aggregate. I don't know if I want to point to any specifics. Then McKay says, my immediate reaction to that question is no. Not that we aren't paying attention to the response the show is having. I don't know how you could shut it out. But the second season has been written for some time now, and the storytelling grows and goes in different directions. That is informed by what we learned on season 1 on our own. There are things that seem to really work and others that didn't work as well as we might have hoped. The storytelling will be different next time, not because of the response to the show, but because of the experience of making the show for us. And that is one thing that when it comes to a lot of these online shows, which is why I wanted to kind of tie it into that Zach Stentz thing. I just got screwed up with the whole Benoit Blanc thing. Is that, people were judging the show before they saw it, and I don't know if they'd ever even realize that the show is going to adapt and evolve on its own over time. And that to me is probably the most fascinating goddamn thing about it. It has a lot to do with the fact that the show is nowhere near as bad as people out there are making it out to be. Nowhere near as bad as people have been grifting for months and months and months about, trying to prime the pump to say that the show is bad. When in many instances, people just go, well, Galadriel's an unlikable character. That's a big one I hear. It's just, that's it. That's the critique. And I'm like, yeah, she is. She's not meant to be likable. She's not meant to be likable. She's like, not even really meant to be sympathetic towards. Like, you get her plight, but at the same time, she's very headstrong, very cocksure, and she's going to wander into shit without thinking about it because her judgment is clouded. And that's a big part of it. That's a big part of that. Why do you think what happened at the end, that big reveal, was allowed to happen? Because she was fucking played. Because that person understood her motivations and understood her weaknesses and understood her emotions and was able to manipulate her to get what they wanted, because that is how manipulative people are. But, because I guess it violates lore or whatever, even though these are based upon dependencies, I don't fucking know. I don't even really fucking care. to be honest with you. I love the Peter Jackson movies. Those violate canon and lore. I love the Hobbit movies. Those violate canon and lore. I love this show. It violates canon and lore. Guess what? It's called an adapt-fucking-tation. And that's how adapt-fucking-tations work. Is that some things have to be moved around in certain ways in order to become more complete visual storytelling devices. Visual storytelling devices. Some things worked, some things didn't. Galadriel fighting those 4 Númenórean guards in that episode, and then, whatever, like, that was a bit ham-fisted because it was a hard to shoot thing. It was very tight quarters. And then, of course, but if you think about it, like with how well elves can fight and how fast their reflexes are, it does make a lot of sense. It is slightly exaggerated, but that is to prove an effect or prove a point, so to speak. Galadriel on her horse during the Battle of the Southlands. Again, people freaked out about that. But Legolas, and the elephant from the battle elephant from Return of the King. Or, Legolas, like in all the other things that Legolas has done. No one seemed to care. No one seemed to give a shit. But now that Galadriel does it, and they're like, whoa, man, pump the brakes. A woman on a horse? That's fucking insane. That's what I'm talking about, is the criticism is not consistent. And in many instances, it's absolutely fucking lazy. But the key takeaway from this particular element of the story is that the showrunners are aware of what they failed on in season 1. And they're assessing what they've learned in season 1, and they're going to appropriate that into season 2. And what does that mean? Well, what it means is that they're learning from their past experiences and they're trying to refine and better format their own show. That is what happens on television shows. They evolve. Is The Walking Dead the same quality it was in season 1 as it is in season 11? The answer to that is no. Season 1 was overseen by Frank Darabont, a master filmmaker who brought a lot of things to the table. And then after that, it went through multiple different showrunners. The show has found its own footing later on down the road, but it still had a couple rocky years because they had Greg Nicotero and Scott Gimple and a few other people and stuff. And they were able to kind of eventually figure it out. But again, these shows evolve over time. I bring up Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad, tonally, season 1 to season 5, vastly different show. Vastly different show. Season 1 does not have the same energy that season 2 had. And even season 2, didn't have the same kind of frenetic energy that season 5 had, but it built up to that frenetic energy. I mean, do we not remember how I think it was season 3, Walter and Jesse effectively caused the plane crash to happen because of the whole Jane situation, and how that and her death, which was caused by Walt, absolutely caused her father to just lose out on the ripple effect of trauma. And if you look at here's the thing, if you don't like the new Halloween trilogy, but you can think back to that storyline in season 3 of Breaking Bad and go, that was actually okay. You're a fucking hypocrite, because that's all about trauma and PTSD and how we deal with it and how it can impact us and how it can hinder us in everything that we do. So there's a lot of interesting, again, this is the whole point. These shows evolve over time. Game of Thrones evolved over time. And you know what? It had a bit of a rough ride towards the end. Okay. I liked it, but it had a bit of a rough ride. It wasn't as good as earlier seasons. These shows evolve. You have to give it time to evolve. People out there now just want it perfect on day one, and a lot of these guys, this is really funny. A lot of these guys will, they'll get video games and they're completely cool. They're 100% okay with video games having day one patches, but they're mad about shows evolving or movies evolving or characters evolving. To me, it's always really funny. It was always really funny. So let's see. Ryan here says Better Call Saul was described as slow in the first few seasons, but people then regret saying that once Jimmy became Saul. Yeah. It took time to get there. You had to see, Jimmy become Saul Goodman. That transition had to happen. We know the end game. We know where it ends up, but we're watching how it happened. So if you can sit there, again, that's the whole point. Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is kind of like Better Call Saul to, Breaking Bad, and Breaking Bad being the Fellowship of the Ring. effectively. It's a weird comparison. I'm not saying 100% because like they're different tonally, but it's kind of like that where you're watching these characters evolve. So you have to give it time. And if that time means like putting it down and then coming back to it when a couple seasons have built up in order to be able to binge it all and to go from there, by all means do that. By all means, absolutely do that. But everyone who's looking at the show now, the way that most of the criticisms that I've seen of Rings of Power have kind of just been pointless. They've just been pretty stupid here. But all right, joining the party, Vito. What's up, Vito?
He's talking about that Rings of Power.
I like the Rings of Power. I absolutely like the Rings of Power. I think it's a great show.
I thought the finale was like where it should have started, maybe.
I mean,
the first season was a waste.
No, it wasn't. It was establishing. They have to set
like
shit up.
Slow. Set it up.
No, the first episode was slow. After that, it was fine.
Oh my god, I was falling asleep.
That's because for me, I enjoyed the world building. I've also read the Robert Jordan books, for crying out loud. You know, like those Tolkien and Robert Jordan, huge into world building.
But this is not a show for people who read books. Like Amazon doesn't want that.
Here's
Johnny
yeah.
Sixpack to be like, oh, I want elves and shit. And I feel like he doesn't. Those guys aren't going to watch.
Okay, and here's the thing. I actually don't disagree with you on that front. I don't.
Yeah.
What my issue with it though is that it's like the show is such a revered property that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they did it. It was gonna piss
attacked. Somebody off.
Yeah, it was going to be attacked. I just feel that the levels of attack, the criticism is very surface level.
I think the people who keep going like, oh my God, it breaks the canon. I'm like, who cares? Shut the fuck up. Like Angry Joe was like yelling about, they made the elf rings last, but now in the show, they're making the elf rings first. I'm like, no, and the most like 99% of people don't give a shit about that. Like you give a shit about that, but why? Why do you even give a shit about that? Why is that?
It's not even, yeah. It's like, making the elf ring, it made sense to make the elf rings first. It just made sense to make the elf rings first in the context of the show.
These aren't the books. It's like an alternate, imagining of Tolkien because they don't have the rights. Which I guess you make the argument. Well, why make it at all? I don't know. I guess that's my question: is why make it at all?
Well, so
if you're gonna make all these people upset,
yeah. And that's actually Jeff Bezos's. Well, that's Jeff Bezos's hubris.
Yeah.
So back in was like 2015, 2016, somewhere in there, maybe 2017. If you go back and look at what was on Amazon Prime back then, it was like a whole bunch of period piece shit. It was like a bunch of F. Scott Fitzgerald content, like 2 shows based around F. Scott Fitzgerald works.
And I'm like, Bezos like handpicked that stuff?
I think what it was, well, no, he didn't. Whoever he brought in had. But the problem, though, is that what he was doing is he was going like, okay, Amazon Prime or Prime Video is not getting where we want it to get to. So what we need is, and he's looking at Game of Thrones and their popularity was kind of like at the height in 2016. Yeah. So he's looking at Game of Thrones popularity and he's just like, fucking, that's what we need. We need our Game of Thrones. And that's what they said at the time, is that they wanted to find something like that. But then I guess when the conversation about the Lord of the Rings came up and the Tolkien estate was shopping around looking for, taking pitches. Yeah. Like, if you read the article, like Netflix went in and wanted to do like a Marvel Cinematic Universe fucking style.
Well, they were going to do Who pitched that? Netflix wanted to have a bunch of different Lord of the Rings superheroes and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were going to bring up that I think Amazon at one point was going to make a Dragon Age show. And then a lot of the people, I don't know if that was actually true or not.
Well, they are doing a Fallout show right now. They're filming that right now with Walton Goggins as the lead. So that's going to be fucking lit.
That would be good. I think Fallout is a good. See, that's the thing. Is like Lord of the Rings. I'm like, why? Just don't even touch it. There's no benefit. I mean, you have a little bit of the built-in. The people like the Lord of the Rings, but there's also been a lot of the Lord of the Rings projects that have like failed or not been that exciting. It's not, honestly, like as far as franchises go, I think the amount they paid for it is not worth what they're going to get out of it.
I mean, it all depends on how much it blows up. I mean, really. And I think here's the thing with Lord of the Rings, though, is, well, I do want to quickly, because H-Bart's here, says $2. Thank you, buddy. Says, Joe is wrong. The elves got their rings first. Which would only make sense because they're the ones that are forging the rings. Like, Why would they make rings for other motherfuckers? I could see the dwarves getting them first. Is like, hey, this is our payment to you for the mithril. I could see, but the men getting theirs before the elves makes like no fucking sense.
They didn't really explain how do the rings stop the blight. Like, do those guys have to stay in Elf Town?
No, it contains the light of Valor in the metal, and that is
but they're not giving one to every elf.
Yeah, I know. I don't quite know. That is true. I was thinking about that too. And I'm like, well, maybe
shitty explanation.
Maybe they find out. Maybe it works just through like reverse osmosis or something. I don't know. Maybe it works like
every elf is connected. So as long as
it's like fucking Avatar, right? It's like like Rivendell is the tree of Awa, and they all have to just kind of chill in there. I don't know. I'm sure they'll fucking explain it, or H-Barts will tell me. But he says also here, yeah, I do. I agree. Yeah, he says here for 10. Thank you so much, buddy. Rings of Power finale was great. People saying it breaks Tolkien canon are correct, but Christopher Tolkien, the biggest Jackson hater, approved it before he died. So if he approved it, it's fine by me.
Yeah, like all these people are complaining about breaks canon. I'm like, yeah, who cares? Like, it's not, as long as it's not impacting the main canon, it's not affecting like the canon of the books or the movies in any way, or like rewriting anything important.
Well, apparently
dying is made up. Yeah, I heard that.
Okay. I will say this though, a thing with that, I don't mind that. I think it's a good plot device because it gives agency, right, to the elves, and it gives them a reason to like get this shit moving.
Kind of makes the Dwarf King seem like a total dick though, where it's like, hey, can we have some of this with that rock so our entire species isn't genocided? He's like, nah. Like, oh, well, okay, thanks, man. Did they explain that conflict more? I actually missed that episode specifically. Like, why does the Dwarf King just want all the elves to die?
He doesn't want all the elves to die. He doesn't want to sacrifice dwarven lives for it. Is what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't
it's
want
a rock in the ground. Tell the elves they got to mine it themselves then.
Well, see, that would be a way to go about it. But I think part of it too is like there's stuff there. Like, so Durin, his wife Disa, she can sing to the mountain, and the mountain will respond and tell her where to dig. So it's like, and the thing with the mithril is it goes really far down, and it's in like it's in kind of like shady territory, I'm guessing. And so like they're worried about going into it. Plus we now know that there's a Balrog that's down there.
Yeah.
So, like that shit's going to get cray when that happens in the next season, obviously. So it's like they're setting things up. This is still a TV show. I think the people that attack like the canon of it all, or the lore, it's like, you have to realize that this is a TV show. There are rules. There's pacing, there's plot points, there's time limits. There are rules. And it's the same thing that goes for movies. And I think one of the reasons why people think that this shit is like maybe a bit on the slower side is because it is very world building heavy in this season, but also the movies are like long, but not as long as this. And so I think they can sit through a 3-hour movie, but a 6-hour show or whatever, 8-hour show.
I think their big problem is I'm not on Galadriel's side. I'm on Sauron's side. I'm like, yeah, Sauron seems pretty cool. Sauron is literally in the final episode. He's like, "You told me bad people can change and be good." She's like, "I did." And I'm like, "Well, he's right. You did fucking say that." And like, I guess I'm supposed to know. Well, it's Sauron, and maybe he's being tricky or whatever else. But ultimately, he's making a lot of good points. And Galadriel's just kind of like, "No, you're evil forever." And yeah, that's actually probably the worst bit of it. Is like every other piece of media you ever watch, it's like, no, bad people can change. But in the Lord of the Rings universe, it's always supposed to be like, well, orcs are true evil. Sauron is true evil. There's like never any chance for any nuance in their alignment. I don't know. It kind of limits it.
Well, I mean, but then again, like look at the original movies, the same concept, right? Like, does no one ever look at the Nazgul and be like, well,
those
maybe
movies
they're just having a bad day.
Cool.
Maybe they're just having a bad day.
That's the shittiest part of Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is cool, but yes, it is limiting when you have this like childish fantasy universe where it's like those guys are just bad always. I wish they've now expanded. I think other Lord of the Rings projects have had good orcs and stuff.
I mean, you had the Shadow of Mordor game with Ratbag.
Yeah.
I liked Ratbag quite a bit until he got killed. I was like, fuck, but he was a fun character. So yeah, I mean, like they can play with it in these other ways, but again, like the Tolkien, like the scholars, which I think is can I just say that's one of the most like redundantly stupid things I've ever fucking
Very
heard of.
stupid.
It's like, what do you do? What have you dedicated your life
I read
to?
the books 5 times, so therefore I'm a scholar now.
Yeah, I have spent my life dedicated to the understanding and explanation and education of Tolkien's works. Oh, really? Did he like invent fucking like radiology? Invent flight? What do you do? He's like, elves can speak friend in their language. Like it's just, I love the concept. I love what Lord of the Rings is about. But again, it's like these people. Like, these are the kind of people that are like groupies. They're just fucking groupies that have found a way to make a really solid living as like they're influencers for fucking Lord of the Rings.
Anyone can call themselves a Tolkien scholar. You just say it. Just go, yeah, I'm a Tolkien scholar. There's no like test you got to pass.
Dude, astrology has greater fucking greater requirements. Because like there are people out there that sell, and this is 100% true. If you want to go get a PhD in psychology, or sorry, in astrology, you can go to this online university and like pay a couple grand for a course. And then at the end of that course, when you pass, you will then have your doctorate in astrology. It's not a real doctorate. It's not.
There are more professional boundaries to becoming a barber than a Tolkien scholar. All right. So you're below a barber, gentlemen. I'll say this. I don't think Lord of the Rings, I don't think it needs to be expanded on. I think that's the biggest problem, is that ultimately Lord of the Rings was like a great little standalone fantasy thing, but I don't think they can do anything other than just like fill in some spaces. But like,
well, that's kind of what they're doing. That's kind of they read the appendices, right? So it's just like bullet points of lore, effectively, and they're like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened. Now, how the fuck do we connect them? And then how do we make it interesting? And then how do we make it compelling television? And then how do we add drama?
I'm going to argue it's more interesting as background lore than as an actual show. Like, that's the problem, is people think like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we actually saw that? And it's like, no, actually, that would be worse. It's cooler to leave it to the imagination. I just don't think there's enough in the Lord of the Rings universe to expand. I think this show is a waste of people's time, because I know how it ends. That ship kid's gonna grow up and fight Sauron. And he's gonna die. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got it. I already know what happens.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's
what's gonna happen. And then I guess I'm gonna watch Numenor get destroyed at some point.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. Well, let me ask you this though. This is because I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if you were listening or not, but how do you feel about Better Call Saul?
I haven't finished it.
But do you like Better Call Saul?
Yes.
Even though you know what happens to Saul at the end of Breaking Bad?
Yeah, because
come on.
Shut up. Listen. Better Call Saul is set in a universe with like multiple characters of different alignments. They're all able to double cross each other or whatever else. Lord of the Rings doesn't have that nuance, because again, it's set in this good versus evil fantasy world. Like, there's no chance that Galadriel is going to turn evil. There's no chance, like, I don't know who's going to double cross somebody. Like, we already know what's going to happen. They're just going to go on a big dumb adventure and fight the bad guys. Is
there anything wrong with that, though?
Personal intrigue. It's boring. That's the only thing that's wrong with it. I don't get anything out of it. I'm eventually gonna watch Galadriel go, you know what? I should stop being a bitch. Like, that's gonna be the whole show. Is that like after like 3 seasons, you're gonna go, you know, I've been acting like kind of a bitch, and then she's gonna like smile, and that's her character arc. But like, there's nothing else to explore. What can we explore about her character? You know, like with Saul, there's like so much to investigate. His relationship with his brother, his inadequacy at being a lawyer, at his past of being, you know, a trickster, and you know, is he there's so much to explore there. What am I going to explore with Galadriel? She's an elf who's mad her brother died, and she's going to eventually get over it and become like a fighter woman. There's like nothing to her character.
I think it's about, you know, it's about the journey. I think I know that sounds like kind of like reductive.
You're right. We're gonna get more slow motion shots of her riding her horse.
That was okay. I agree. The shot of her face in slow mo was bad, but the establishing shot though of them slow mo on the beach and the visuals of the shot were fucking really good.
Okay,
So,
but you know what I would want then? If it's all about beautiful visuals, give me like 2 episodes just show Numenor explode, show whatever. Like everything in between is a waste of my time. These are like flashback images from a better show, you know? Like this is what if we were watching Lord of the Rings, we go, and that's when they forge the rings of, and then cut back and show your gorgeous CG of them forging the rings. But all the build up to get to that gorgeous CG shot is doing nothing for me.
Okay, I mean, I can understand that. See, for me, it is. I really enjoy it because I enjoy watching. I like it character driven stories, and I find the world to be fascinating, and I enjoy what they're building up to.
Which characters are driving the story that are like you're invested in them?
At this point, I'm actually she's the one I'm least invested in.
Okay.
I know that's I think Morford Clark is doing a great job. I enjoy the character. But I understand like the character where she's at. She's angry and she's determined and she got fucked over by her king. But you got to admit though, that was some cool shit when the king's all like, there's no more evil. Evil's gone. It's 800 years. We need to get over it. We need to move past it. Here, get on this boat and get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, just so no one can ask any questions. And you can't continue talking about it. Like, he literally just, like, yeets them from Middle Earth because he wants them to shut the fuck up. And I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, oh, elven politics. Okay. You know.
Well, that's the other thing is that, like, Game of Thrones does really well with the political stuff, but you can't even do, like, there's not enough politics in this show, I feel.
Well, I think but the politics are more of a spiritual or maybe like ethereal in regards to like, again, good versus bad. You know, there's a conversation that Galadriel has with Adar, and Adar is like basically like, fuck, I hate Sauron, you know, because he was one of the first orcs like Morgoth had tortured. Those are the first Uruk, were the elves, the fallen elves and stuff. And so then they create the orcs, and that's the way that, you know, it's very like a connectivity. Like a paternal or maternal kind of relationship with those orcs. And that to me is fascinating. I mean, I know they're just cannon fodder. They're going to fucking die in brutal ways. We're going to enjoy it. But I just find the way that they're kind of like establishing that relationship it gives us another side of it. Just if anything, for just having a conversation. It's like, you know, I enjoy it. The show. Like, did you watch the new Halloween yet? Did you watch Halloween Ends?
No, I don't like that series.
Okay. Because like fucking dude, it's divisive as fuck, right?
Yeah,
it's fucking super divisive, and I would recommend watching it. Like I would say watch 1, 2, and 3 back to back. Just watch the trilogy in one go. But but again, it opens up the door for conversation. And I'm just wondering though, and you know, you critique media a little differently than I critique media, but like
I have a different background in media also. Because one thing I'll say, like, I'm not a film expert. I'm really not. There was a period of time where I, did the film kid thing and I watched all the classics and whatever else. But sadly, I haven't made a lot of time for like recent films and stuff.
Okay.
I guess I come at it more as just somebody who cares about story rather than
the whole shebang.
Yeah, I guess my references are dated, sadly.
Well, I mean, my reference is like, I worked for theaters for many years. I lived in North Hollywood for a couple of years, worked on a few things.
Yeah.
And it's like, but like, I always wanted to be a storyteller. So for me, I approach a lot from like how I would write a story and how I would approach writing these characters and how I would take them on the journey. But again, for me, like, I'm also like one of those types that's very super easily entertained. And I'm open about that because like, if it grips me, it grips me. And like, dude, like certain things, like I was watching, what was it, like a fucking Monster House. You know what I mean? Like, fucking love that goddamn movie. It's a kid's film, or even like there's an Australian children's show called Bluey, and it's about a family of dogs.
Telling me to watch fucking Bluey.
Bluey's fucking awesome.
What's going on with this shit? Why is everybody obsessed with this? Is Bluey a girl?
Bluey is a girl. Her sister Bingo is a girl.
Bluey a girl.
Bluey's there. She's a blue healer. She's a blue healer. That's the type of dog. So the dogs are basically humans, but the dogs all have dog names. So like so you've got like Bluey and Bingo is the sister, Bandit's the father, Chili's the dad. Like their neighbor is named Lucky.
You literally an hour before I came on here This girl I talked to was like, "You got to watch Bluey." I don't know what's wrong with you people.
I got kids,
Watching
dude. I
Australian
got kids.
children's television.
I have kids.
All right. Here's what I'm going to say about about Rings of Power, and here's why I'm not interested in it: is why make an inferior version of a thing that already exists? Okay, here's the argument I'm going to make: Lord of the Rings, the books and the movie and the whatever else, are basically perfect pieces of entertainment, or as close to perfect as you get. They're universally beloved and acclaimed. Okay, there's no way that Rings of Power is going to be anywhere near as good as the original. Right? Like, how could it be?
Yeah, you're right.
Now, Better Call Saul is something that has managed to rival, and some people say is better than Breaking Bad. I think because, again, there is room to explore it. But everything interesting in Lord of the Rings happens in Lord of the Rings. The stuff that came previously was not made into a book or a movie previously because it wasn't as interesting as the core Lord of the Rings story. You're just filling in bits and pieces as like a little, it feels like a waste of time, you know? Like, yes, fans will be into that, but I can't imagine you're going to get a mega hit out of it.
Well, I mean, they have said that it's 100 million people are watching. Now, I
heard that internally they're like freaking out because people hate it, but I could be wrong. I don't know. They don't tell us the numbers.
No, they don't tell us the numbers. I mean, like the woman in charge of Prime Video, she came out and said 100 million people are watching the show. Nielsen ratings have put the show above House of the Dragon because everyone's putting it against House of the Dragon, and I feel like that was inevitably going to happen because they're same theme, basically, you know, similar settings, same time, big budget shit, both beloved properties. So you got all that, and they're both prequels, so go figure. But the Nielsen ratings have shown that Lord of the Rings has done well. And
where are the most recent? What are the most recent Nielsen ratings? Because I think the premiere did well.
The premiere, they said,
Cobra Kai is winning. House of the Dragon and Rings of Power are slipping. So let me see. Cobra Kai is give me the whole thing. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power is still number 2. But that's only 4 episodes out. So with 4 episodes out, it's supposedly in the top 2. So maybe people are still watching it.
Let's see here. So an article popped up 2 days ago on Fierce Video here. I'll get Rational. I do want to get to your fucking super chat too, by the way, but we'll get to that here in a second. Okay, Rings of Power among top streamed TV shows in September. So let's see if they give us a number here. Rings of Power generated.
I have Cobra Kai at number 1, Rings of Power at number 2. That's from September, so a month ago. I don't know if they've released this month's numbers yet.
No,
so a month ago was number 2, with House of the Dragon at number 3.
Yeah, so I mean, they're definitely like, I think as the show goes on and more people, like, I think now that we're done, people are going to binge it. And because like I was talking to my kid brother about it a couple nights ago, and he was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm watching the Rings of Power finale." And he's like, "Oh, was it any good?" I said, "Yeah, it was fucking great." And he goes like, "I tried watching it, I got bored in the first episode." And I was like, "Yeah, that happens because it's really lore heavy, but once you get past that, I think it picks up pace." So then he's like, "Okay, cool." Text me the next day, and he's just like, "I just watched all 8 episodes in one sitting." And I'm like, "You like?" He's like, "I fucking love it." Like
Rings of Power?
Rings of Power, yeah. So, and he's read the books, he loves the books and everything else. And so,
there you go. Stop with the book guys. It's got to appeal to guys who don't read books. I want to go to a guy who never read a Lord of the Rings book in his life and be like, "How do you feel about Rings of Power?" That's who I care about.
I can honestly be that person. I've never read the books. I tried.
Fair enough.
I tried many years ago. I bought the Fellowship. I got maybe like,
yeah, but you're a Tolkien scholar.
Yeah, I read like 60 pages. You know, and I got distracted.
I'm going to start calling myself a Tolkien scholar and see if anybody challenges me.
No one probably will.
I watched the first 2 movies. I studied them very intently. Return of the King, sounded gay. I didn't want to watch it.
Return of the King is very good.
That'd be pretty bad if you're like, "I'm a Tolkien scholar." No, I only read the first 2 books.
Yeah. Well, it's you know,
and I didn't read The Hobbit either.
It's kind of like when Mecha Random 42 threatened to sue me and contact the FBI on me because I said I called her out for criticizing Black Panther without having seen it, and then she confirmed that she hadn't seen it, but she was mad that I made fun of her for it.
You see the critical drinker clip going around?
Yeah. I'll grab that actually real quick because
See, that's the thing is I go, listen, I probably couldn't name any recent Japanese movies, but I'm also not the guy going on a stream to talk about how we need to take more cues from modern Japanese cinema. The last Japanese film I saw was Shin Godzilla. I think that was 2016. Very good movie.
I don't remember. The last Japanese movie I saw was, oh my God, probably Death Note. The live action one. I think Takeshi Miike did.
Yeah, was that on like Netflix?
No. I had to acquire it back when it first came out.
That's ancient at this point.
Isn't that like super ancient. Yeah.
2006 was the original film. Was that the Takeshi Miike?
Yeah, that was the one that I saw. Because I remember I went to the Anime Expo in Anaheim. Or maybe it's Long Beach, I think, in 2007, and that's where like I had first kind of been learning about Death Note, and then I was like, oh, I need to go and watch the fucking the anime, and that just depressed the ever living fuck out of me. So fucking depressing.
Death Note's a very good. I'll say this about the Japanese. There's a lot. I tell people right now, if you want to be a storyteller or whatever, you got to be reading Shonen Jump every week. You can get a subscription for like $1.99 on your phone and just read the latest Japanese comics coming out because they got a lot of good ideas. I'll say that about Japan. I'm not watching their movies as much, but I obsessively read all their comics.
Yeah. Do you think that because I know a lot of people are critical of the proliferation of anime and manga taking over a lot of stuff here in our culture. Like, I mean, if you look at like what Nerdrotic and even people like Critical Drinker are talking about, like they'll kind of complain about the fact that Eastern media is dominating in so many ways. And I haven't really been able to figure out why that is, I don't read enough of it to like get a solid understanding. Like occasionally I'll do like a Red Pill anime stream where the viewers just send me suggestions. We watch trailers to kind of red pill me on watching some of this shit. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. But like, I like the dark, hardcore, violent shit. I want to see Chainsaw Man. That just came out.
I started reading the comic because
is it good?
I saw the anime was coming out. It's kind of hard to follow, but like I think that's part of the appeal is that it's just like in the West we've fallen into some very like clear traps of formulaic writing.
Yeah.
Of like here's the hero's journey, blah blah blah. It's got to go like this, and this. And then Chainsaw Man is just kind of like just fucked. Like I'm not seeing any sort of arc. The main character is motivated by his desire to like grab women's tits and shit. And you're like, you know what? This is just fucking wacky. I love it. So there's a lot there that I think the West should be picking up on, is breaking away from some of the more traditional like formulaic storytelling that we've gotten very good at. And it is actually one of our benefits over Japan. Sometimes Japanese storylines, I go, this is just that makes no fucking sense.
Pants on head stupid is how I refer to it. Like, and I've said, well, I say this about Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima and his storytelling is usually pants on head stupid. It's very well directed. It's very well composed.
Well, I might have to object to that. I love Kojima, but go ahead.
Well, I like him too, but let's be fucking real here. Some of his storyline ideas are a little bit, whoo-hoo.
William, did you play Death Stranding?
Not yet. I need to.
Oh man, you're gonna hate it. And
I made a joke about it. I made a joke about it being a pro-life game.
Yeah,
because all you do is like shake fucking infants.
It is a little bit. It is definitely about
chugging a Monster Energy drink.
Save that fetus.
Yeah. Don't yeet us the fetus.
Don't yeet us Norman Reedus' fetus. They try to get you to kill that baby in the story, and you got to be like, nope, not gonna do it.
So he's pro-life.
I'll spoil it. I haven't beat it. I'm on the final mission. I literally just have to walk up a mountain. I think I'm like 15 minutes away from beating the game, but they're like, go kill that baby. And I'm like, he's not going to kill the baby. For some reason, I just like, I need to plug it back in and actually finish it.
I did that once with the game Bulletstorm.
Yeah, you just got beyond and
I got to literally the last checkpoint. I didn't know it was the last checkpoint. I got distracted for a couple months and I went like, fuck it, I'll just restart the game again. And then I get to that point, I'm like, all right, cool, I can get to the end of the game. Literally 15 seconds later, game's over. And I'm like, son of a bitch. But I love the game. I think it's a lot of fun. And now you can get it now actually on, I think, Xbox, PC, and PS4, where they actually allow you to play as Duke Nukem. And John St. John voices the character. And that just elevates it to a whole new level for me because I'm a big Duke Nukem fan. So, but I agree.
Narrative of why Japan is why is anime doing so well? A lot of people want to make it sound. A lot of people are trying to make it sound like it's the simplest thing in the world. There's a lot of guys who are going, well, because the stories aren't woke, and I go, that's not it.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
There's a lot more going on now. The stories are maybe a little more. I don't even know what you would say. It's impossible to nail down. I have a number of different things. One thing, if you're just talking about the comic realm, I think manga is just infinitely easier to read than American comics. It is just, if you try to pick up an American comic now, it is like so messy. There's like so many panels all over the place. It's a lot of style over substance. And you look at like a Japanese comic, and it's very clearly like laid out so the reader can figure it out. Okay. I mean, and also just a lack of like confusing coloring. But we look at Walking Dead is a perfect example of a American comic that did very well. And Walking Dead, if you kind of look at the pages, it almost resembles a Japanese comic in the way that it's a black and white comic. It is very clear and easy to read panels. And I think it's a lot more accessible to an audience that isn't like deep in like comic book culture. So that's something I've been looking at a lot as I'm doing.
Well, let me ask you, one of the ways that it like, what was it? One Piece has been described to me is that it's in like 1,500 issues right now.
Yeah.
Or something. And it's one continuous story.
Yeah.
There's sagas, right? There's your sagas, but it's still one continuous story. And I'm wondering if that has if the popularity of that just has to do with the continuity maintaining. Same with The Walking Dead, 100 issues, one persistent storyline. And
American comics are fucked.
They're no, they do 12. They do 12 issues. They fucking end the run. They start over again, and it's just like where people get into it and then they get cut off. And not all the time. They don't even get conclusions.
It's literally on. It's like it's volume 141. You're like, well, where do I start? Volume 1.
Yeah.
If I wanted to figure out if I go, I'm into Batman, where do I start? There is no answer. You can be like, well, you could start at the beginning of when they rebooted this universe, but actually they kept canon some of the previous universe. And, you can skip this guy's run because it was written out of canon. And American comics, American superhero comics are like, come on, they need to ditch them. Honestly, I don't know. There's no path forward for American comics. It's like just the only people still reading them are people who've been reading them since they were like 6-year-olds. Have you ever met like a 10-year-old kid, a 12-year-old kid who every week goes and buys comics at the comic store? I've never met that kid in my life.
When I was a kid, I don't really remember that. Yeah, I remember the comic stores,
like
but they're also
now.
A kid now? Fuck, dude, no, man.
Now who like goes, oh, I love, and which is crazy because the kids love the Marvel movies and whatever else. Maybe there's one kid who goes to the Barnes and Noble and buys the graphic novels, but none of them are going to the comic book store to pick up an Iron Man comic, because you pick up an Iron Man comic, it's got all this backstory, all these characters you've never seen. There's so much going on. It's like nonsense.
I think the omnibuses sell decently because at least that's all that story, like that run together.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think a lot of kids just aren't into it. But I will say, I will give credit to Warner Brothers for not only the Batman, but with the upcoming Black Adam. In their marketing, at the end of the marketing, they'll be like, read the graphic novels that inspired the movie. So they'll tell you, here's these issues that are going to inspire what you're going to see, and you'll be able to get a better idea for what they're going for. And it's like, okay, that is really good. Like, this is what I don't get about Marvel Studios. I'm a big Marvel guy. I love Marvel. I have not picked up a comic since watching these movies. I haven't cared. I just don't care. For the same reasons you have absolutely fundamentally laid out there. It's like,
I have a bunch of graphic novels on my shelf, and I haven't bought a new one in like 10. The only stuff I'll buy is like manga, because I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to get into what Green Lantern's up to. Like, I don't know. It's a waste of my time. And And I prefer, again, if it is something set in these universes, I prefer like an Elseworld, like an Old Man Logan or a World War Hulk, where it's like a one contained story away from everything else. It's just so much easier to digest.
Because I mean, as much as I enjoy the continuity of the universe that Feige has created, there are times where I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to like see something else, but at the same time I go, but everything else is connected. This should be too. And so it's kind of your damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. But I look at everything. I look at the fact that these movies are the highest grossing piece of entertainment out right now. Their video games will sell, but their books don't. Their stories don't. I mean, they're doing podcasts now. That's how they're trying to reach the new generation, right? If you go to Sirius, you can actually get a whole bunch of Wolverine. I think there's a couple seasons of a Wolverine podcast.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this though, from what I heard, like the quality is, I'm like, dude, I can produce better content. Like it doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound great. And I'm like, what the fuck? But this is like officially commissioned, podcasts and everything else. And then there's even people on YouTube that will do these audio dramas of these runs, right? They'll either adapt a run for an audio drama or they'll write their own X-Men storyline and then bring in voice actors and put it together. And it could be relatively compelling because people are figuring out different forms of storytelling. Comics worked when there wasn't the internet. And it's like, I do enjoy reading comics, but again, it's like finding the right, the runs, finding all the issues in stock at my comic store, or you got to do Comixology. And I'm not a big fan of that necessarily. But it's just crazy. So yeah,
I think all the interconnected storylines and the constant reboots and everything else. Yeah, it's just exhausting.
Yeah, I think people just aren't into it anymore.
No, and I don't think honestly, I look at American comics and people go, "Oh, well, back in the golden age, it was." I'm like, I think this was never worked really. It was like kind of cool to pick it up and read these. Like, let's be real, the majority of like American comics were very stupid the whole time. Okay, like for every like, this was not high art. This was not good storytelling. The art was cool, but like if you go back and really read Secret Wars, are you really gonna like try and pretend that this is like great storytelling? It's a bunch of guys fighting each other because they're trying to sell action figures. Like specifically, do you know the story of Secret Wars? Like how it got created?
No.
Secret Wars was created because what toy company was it? Basically, a toy company came to them and they said, "Listen, it was here we go. David Shooter said, or Jim Shooter said, Kenner had licensed the DC heroes. Mattel had He-Man, but wanted to hedge in case superheroes were the next big fad. So basically, Mattel went to Marvel and said, listen, we want to do a line of Marvel toys. And like, all right, go nuts. Make like a Spider-Man or whatever. And they're like, we'll only do it if you make a comic book series to go along with it. So, and the only reason it's named Secret Wars is because Mattel focus groups indicated that kids reacted positively to the words wars and secret. So like, these stories were not stories that were created because we wanted to tell a great story. These are stories that were created because we were going to sell toys. Like, have you ever read the first issue of the Transformers comic?
No.
People look back with like these rose-colored glasses and go, "Oh my God, Transformers!" It's all terrible. It's terrible. You only like it because it's been around forever, and it's kind of funny to take something that was a terrible toy and try to make it into a serious storyline. But the basis for all of this has always been terrible schlock, and we need to stop pretending that we've somehow elevated it.
Well, yeah, I what is it, like He-Man? Kind of similar stuff, like the comics.
A terrible story.
I think what they did with Revelations was interesting, and I'm curious to see where they take it next. So I guess
that's interesting. That like, yeah, again, it is interesting to take something that is so clearly a stupid cash grab and try to make a real story out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's interesting. But like all these people who want to pretend, it's different from something like Star Wars. Star Wars was a good story from the beginning. But like all these Marvel comics and whatever else, it's like most of it is just crap.
Well, I think people who just grew up with it they don't want to let go of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think back to like shit when I was a kid and I'm like, man, I loved, You know, I loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I can acknowledge that the 1987 show ain't the best animation wise. You know, like it's 80s. It looks like it's from the 80s, but the theme song still slaps. You know, you look at like old school Simpsons and like how that's evolved or devolved in certain instances. And, you know, you can go, all right, like you can enjoy it, but it's like we look back on our childhood and think like, yeah, this shit's fantastic. A lot of it's bad. Like, dude, growing up, I fucking loved The Last Starfighter. Have you tried to watch The Last Starfighter again as an adult?
No.
It is not good. Like, it's still a fun movie, but it's like the way it was made, the effects for the time just did not hold up. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I'll tell you this, though. You know what movie I unironically enjoy? The Room.
Oh, really?
It's fucking god awful, but I don't know. Something about that movie is just like I enjoy it.
Ironic enjoyment, I think. You enjoy that it's like funny.
I think I enjoy it because it's funny, but it's like I don't hate Tommy Wiseau.
Not intentionally funny. Yeah, I don't hate Tommy.
I just have fond experiences. Every time I watch it, I always have a good time. So I think that's like my take with that. Like I don't enjoy it for being a serious drama. Oh God, no. Like it is, you know, unequivocally terrible. But I just, you know, the memes are funny and I just have a good experience with it. So I think that's a lot of it. But we should probably keep moving here real quick. I do want to get to this critical drinker clip. And then there's a couple quick super chats to answer before we move on to the key stories, which are going to be interesting. G4 and obviously Amouranth. I want to hear your takes, Vito, because you always have very interesting takes. But this is... No, you don't.
Reason people... or Japanese filmmaking, it's precisely because it's a bit different from what we get. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, what is the most recent Japanese film, or at least entertainment that you enjoyed so far?
What am I thinking of? See, a lot of them would be older ones, like Old Boy, for example. I really enjoyed that one. I know it's not Japanese, but yeah, probably stuff like that. You know, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I really like that. And it's like Chinese, I think. But yeah, like it's there's a reason people like in the West are starting to draw more.
Hey, this plays over again. But yeah,
okay, here's what's most embarrassing about that clip is that he doesn't realize he knows. He goes, well, that's from Korea, and he goes, well, that's from China, and I go, okay, then don't bring them up. But in his mind, let's be clear, all Asian cultures are basically the same.
Yeah.
So a Korean movie and a Chinese movie, well, that's basically a Japanese movie. That's actually more embarrassing that he doesn't recognize that these are like completely distinct cultures that aren't taking from each other at all.
Well, that's true. I would say that like when, you know, you get questions about like, you know, popular Japanese movies or whatever. And it's like, if you look at it now, it's mostly the stuff that comes out of Japan is all anime. The stuff that ends up making it kind of
popular stuff. Yeah.
You know, like if you were to ask me like, oh, like what's a live action Japanese movie you like? I'd be like, well, fuck, dude. I mean, Battle Royale comes to mind because I love Battle Royale. Yeah, I saw like Versus when I don't really care for Versus. People like it. I don't quite know why. I've seen like the Death Note movie, which wasn't done by Takeshi Miike. I was wrong. You know, there's Sukiyaki Western Django, which was really good.
I did see all right. So the most recent Japanese film I saw was One Cut of the Dead. Have you heard about that one?
I haven't actually.
It's about a guy who has to make a zombie film. You should watch it. You would probably like it.
Okay. One Cut of the Dead. Is it all done in one take?
It's about a guy making a one take horror movie, but the movie's split into two parts. It's like impossible to describe. But the first half is indeed a one-cut zombie horror movie, which is like 30 minutes long or something.
Oh, okay.
And what's hilarious is I went to my buddy's house. He's like, oh, there's this new movie, One Cut of the Dead. We just watched it. And I'm like, oh, I heard that was good. Do you guys want to watch it again? They're like, yeah, I guess it's not that long. And then we watched the first 30 minutes. And I'm like, you guys, and then went to go turn it off. I'm like, you guys realize it's not the whole movie, right? It's like, what do you mean? I go, that's like the first half of the movie. The second half is so he's like, shit, this movie makes a lot more sense watching the second half. When you watch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. When you're like, oh shit, he cut it off right in the middle.
I'll have to give that one a check out. Yeah. I think the problem though is again when you look at like how Asian cinema has come to Western culture. You know, for a while there, it was Chinese movies. You know, you had Jet Li, the Jet Li build up of the early 2000s, and you had a bunch of those, like, you know, what was it? After The Matrix came out, they were bringing over Iron Monkey, and they brought over, when Jackie Chan had The Legend of Drunken Master, which is obviously, you know, just the American title of it. And then all the Jackie Chan movies from like after Rumble in the Bronx from the 90s, you know, Mr. Nice Guy and fucking, you know, goddamn. So I watched all those movies when I was younger, like Condor, Operation Condor. You know, H Farts in the chat is a gigantic Jackie fan. Like, he loves Chinese cinema.
Jackie Chan.
Big
I
fan
think the
of
problem with Japanese cinema is that they're just not making a lot of money right now. So they're not really making big budget films in Japan. So most of what you're going to get that has any budget behind it is going to be anime, because that's where they make most of their money.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? The highest grossing theatrical film in 2020 was Demon Slayer.
Yeah, which is nuts.
It's just crazy. I mean, yeah. It's like, was it the Dragon Ball movie that just came out had $20 million opening
I think
weekend?
Disney, it isn't Disney, they just like released Bleach. Like, let me see. Disney, Disney Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War is on Disney Plus.
Wow.
So I think Disney's gonna buy Shonen Jump. Do you know how fucking crazy it would be if Disney bought, like, the rights to this anime shit must be like a pittance compared to like what they paid for Marvel and everything else.
Most likely.
I'm expecting Disney to go, guys, let's just buy Japan. Like, we have the money, we have the technology,
and they are losing their population. So
yeah, Disney releasing Bleach is like a huge coup, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about it.
I think because maybe a lot of people don't know about it, or they just, again, like, anime is popular in certain pockets here in the States, but the general public doesn't fucking know. You know, like, the general public, like, just doesn't. Kids who grew up with Toonami on Cartoon Network, they'll know about this stuff. You know, they'll know a lot about it, but a lot of the general people don't fucking know. So if you were to ask them, like, all right, what do you think of this? I don't know what that is. And, you know, what's it called? Bleach?
I don't know. I think it's got enough. See, but that's the thing with everything, though. Like, a lot of these, you know, if you ask me, like, what are those stupid things that, like, Umbrella Academy or whatever? What's the other one? All these like young adult books. You know, they've just been buying up young adult novels like no one's business.
Vampire Academy is another one that just has
no
a
one's
TV
ever
show.
heard any of that shit either, but they buy all those. It would make much more sense for them to buy up these anime rights.
You're right. Because, well, yeah, the young adult novel craze that happened post Twilight, really, that was a big one. That pushed it. Then, like, I think Twilight led into Hunger Games, and then, of course,
there was a brief period of time in Hollywood where, like, everybody was snapping up superhero rights. The next thing you're going to see is studios snapping up anime and video game rights.
The video game rights, many of them already sold, because there was a big push in the early 2000s where, like, that. Remember, like, how Uwe Boll came into the mix?
Tomb Raider.
After Tomb Raider was 01. I would argue, yeah, probably that. Like, a lot of them sold in the 90s too, like at the tail end of the 90s.
Yeah,
and because they saw like where it was coming. But if I remember, like, Uwe Boll came on in, and he bought like House of the Dead and Alone in the Dark and Blood Rain, and he just bought all of these IPs, these rights to these IPs, because they were just selling them for like pennies on the dollar, because like no one's ever going to fucking make these things.
Right.
And then he made them all and made them terribly. You get like some adaptations that make the attempt, like Tomb Raider in 01 and 03. And then I like the 2018 movie, but it sucks that they're not continuing that.
Well, Netflix snapped up Castlevania. Like, I'm surprised they haven't announced more video game adaptations.
Well, no, they're working with Ubisoft actually, and they're doing Splinter Cell's getting an animated show.
Cyberpunk just got a show.
Cyberpunk did. The Blood Dragon, Far Cry Blood Dragon is getting an animated show from
The Witcher, which was, I guess, originally a book, but
yeah, well, that's got the show and it's got the animated movie, and there's another show coming this year and another animated show coming for The Witcher, because
there's more getting made that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that franchise, and I mean, dude, fucking Cyberpunk Edge Runners has actually like really bolstered people playing Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah, it like revitalized the game. I forgot Netflix fucked up Resident Evil. Yeah, Netflix is going big on video game stuff, which is smart. They just need to hire better people.
They're doing an Assassin's Creed project too, I think. I don't know what happened with the Resident Evil. Like, I don't understand why the fuck it is so goddamn difficult to adapt Resident Evil. I don't get it.
Because they don't know what the fans want. I want to see the Resident Evil characters. I don't want to meet Wesker's black daughter from an alternate black Wesker universe. Like, that has nothing to do with the video game at all. At that point, it's just not the game.
Yeah.
Like, they think all people care about is, like, the Umbrella Corporation. I'm like, no. Give me Leon Kennedy. Give me Chris Redfield. Give me Claire Redfield. I'd much rather watch...
Veronica would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, all that stuff. Have you seen like some of the CG movies they put out? They're like infinitely more interesting because they actually have the characters in them.
Yeah, and aren't they voiced by the same voice actors from the games too?
Probably, I would hope.
I remember that. I remember they did like Resident Evil. Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 of those things now, I think.
At some point, look up Leon Kennedy, John Wick, because they've decided that Leon Kennedy is the John Wick of the Resident Evil universe, and he's doing all the same. It's literally just watching a John Wick movie where he's fighting zombies instead of real guys. He's doing the exact same like moves and everything. It looks awesome, and I'm like, just do that as a show,
or just do it as a fucking movie and like put it out. Like, I don't get it, man. Like, last year I picked up the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within in 4K. I bought the 4K. And I watched it again, and like, dude, the movie, like, if you remove the Final Fantasy element of it, because that had nothing to do with Final Fantasy, I still really enjoy the goddamn movie, but I can see why it failed.
I should rewatch it. It was a little confusing.
It's a little confusing, but I mean, I like in the animation at this point, like
it's
even in 4K,
confusing.
It looks like a fucking FMV. It looks like a cutscene from like from back in the day and shit. But I still appreciate what they were trying to do. And I still really enjoy the elements of it. It's like certain movies, aren't great in retrospect, but you can still really appreciate what they were attempting. And I think that's something we need to kind of give more credence to when it comes to these movies. Because nowadays everyone is just like, it has to be either 10 out of 10 or it's shit.
Yeah.
And I find that to be frustrating because like it keeps people from watching things.
I'm really bummed that Spirits Within wasn't a huge hit because we could have had an entire generation of these like CG fucking movies, but then
they've done 2. Ended. They did 2 more. There was Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which I never beat Final Fantasy VII, so I literally watched it with my best friend, and I'm like, who's a big FF fan, and I'm just like, you're gonna have to translate this shit for me. And he's like, I'll do my best. And even he's like, fuck. But then we got really drunk and we just kept going, Denzel. And then they did the other one, the Final Fantasy 15 one, Kingslave.
That was years later.
Kingsglaive or whatever.
Oh man, did you watch Wait, who told you Kingsglaive was good?
Someone told me that was good. They showed me the trailer and said it was pretty decent.
Well, whoever told you that is a liar. You get to hear Aaron Paul pretend to be like Whoa, man! Shit! Science,
I'm fucking
bro.
Cloud, bitch.
Oh man, no, Final Fantasy 15 is just the fucking worst of all franchises. Even the game is just like abysmally bad. And Kingsglaive, I won't get into it, but the whole story of Final Fantasy 15 is basically the guy who wrote the whole story just like went, you know what? I'm leaving. And they're like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, I don't want to work on this anymore. I'm like, cool. Can you leave your notes for what the plot is? And he's like, see ya. And they're like, seriously, we need to know who these characters are. And like, we have some scenes made. And they just had to take what he left behind and make a story out of it because they had no fucking idea what was going on.
Okay.
And you can tell, like, characters show up and have like these huge introductions, and they're like, my name is Crassius von Trar, and I'm the Prince of Gargantua, and I will meet you on the battlefield. And then like 18 more hours into the game, you find them dead at a train station, and it's never spoken of again. And like, what the fuck was that guy? Why is he dead? What happened? And they're like, don't worry about it. It's not important. God, Final Fantasy 15 sucks so much. Kingsglaive again.
I'll have to. I think I have to find it and give it a watch one night. Just like if I'm really fucking bored, I mean, like I'm trying to. What I'm trying to do is to find more time to like watch more movies, and not just the same shit that like I would normally see. To try to check out some stuff that's a little bit different, things like that. But here, there's a couple supers here I want to get to. Rational here said this a while ago, like almost an hour ago. Fuck. If Amazon catered to only take Tolkien neckbeards, the show And all the normies would have checked out after the third episode. Viewership would decline. I mean, that is probably relatively true.
Right.
H-Bar's here for $2. Thank you. It says Uruk is orc in black speech. Is that racist?
That's what they keep arguing. They're going, that's our word.
Well, he keeps correcting him because Galadriel goes like, you know,
you
like,
fucking orc.
Like,
and he's like,
Uruk. Yeah, he's like, Uruk.
Yeah, so orc is the N word. Uruk is the correct way to say it.
He's just like, he's all like, oh my god.
It's like, hey, quit saying that.
H here for 5, buddy. Thank you. Says I put some lore in the chat if you want to read it. I missed it. I'm sorry, buddy. And then X Legion here says because horny shit sells. I think talking about like Amouranth or whatever. Yeah. And then Ahsoka here says Bollywood movies are great. Those have been blowing up. Like RRR is like really fucking good from what I hear.
I haven't even heard of this. What is it?
Like RRR is an Indian film.
Oh,
It's on Netflix.
Bollywood's going nuts.
Because I mean, and this might just be again like a stereotypical thing, just based upon the experiences that I've had. But like Bollywood movies have always seemed to me like it's just like they're very the same. They're like always the same kind of story, the same kind of big song and dance number. There's no violence, there's no sex. It's just song and dance.
Yeah.
That's the interpretive nature of it. And then like I see some shit and it's like, oh no, they finally like, it's not that they did like nudity or whatever, but like there's some hardcore shit in this. Like, all right, like maybe they're finally getting it, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that stuff in the future. But all right, guys, thank you so much for those. Let's see, let's move on to the G4 thing, because that's is that what you wanted to cover, that or Amouranth? You were like, bring me on. I don't quite know.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I forget what the both of those topics. I can talk.
It's been a big day. It's been a big day for shit. Like this is major. So I'm pulling up Nathan Grayson. Let me just provide context. I fucking hate this dude. This guy. This is, by the way, this is one of the dudes that was a key reason for Gamergate. Right? I'm not even making it up. So he slept with Zoe Quinn. He was one of the 5 guys who slept with Zoe Quinn.
Oh yeah, Nathan.
Yeah. And so the thing with him though is like, you've heard the whole like sex for reviews thing, right?
Yeah.
So that was not true. That was just a meme someone created as a joke, and it ended up kind of, being.
But he did give her a bunch of previews. And like
he was in. Well, it was her game Depression Quest. He's actually in. He was thanked in the special credits. He helped work on it. But what it was is there was an article written that came out on March 31st, 2014. That detailed an event where Zoe Quinn, it was like a reality show where like they were going to bring in like a game designer or a game enthusiast and like put them with game developers, like up and coming game developers. And like it was Zoe Quinn on one team and JonTron on the other. And the whole thing fell apart, and they put a lot of blame on JonTron. JonTron, I believe, put a lot of blame on Zoe Quinn. And then but then in the article that Nathan Grayson wrote, he wrote favorably. He just wrote favorably of Zoe Quinn. And then this published on the 31st of March. Apparently on April 1st, the very next day, they started smashing pelvises. According to an internal review by Stephen Toledo.
The day after he wrote that
article? The day after the article came out, they started having happen? I don't know. But this is the thing with games journalism, and you'll agree with me on this one. It's very cronyistic. I mean, a lot of these people, the journalists and the devs, they all live and work in San Francisco together. They're all friends, and they all party, like, and that's kind of what I think led to this shit. Like, I think they were probably sleeping together or at least hooking up some way before the beginning of April. But he said that they had only been together for a couple of days in the beginning of April 2014, right after this article came out. So it was one of the early facets of Gamergate that never, ever gets talked about. Is like how someone like this is kind of, very complicit in some of the shit that went down. But anyway,
everybody in the game industry just reports on their friends. It's stupid. It's a waste of time.
It's really lame. But anyway, here, so G4 here, Deadline pulls an article about it. And then he has his own little article here on, I guess, the Washington Post. And then, but here's the crazy thing about this, because we all kind of figured that G4 was going to kick the bucket here sooner rather than later, right?
Right.
But he says here, bigger story on why G4 failed coming soon. But for now, the major theme is they failed to acclimate to the YouTube Twitch era despite desperation to fit in. Former employees tell me that some major content creators charged day rates of $25,000 to $30,000 a day. Not sustainable. Do you think that's possible that they could have done $30,000 a day in fees?
Well, I don't understand what they're talking about. I mean, I assume they don't mean like who's the biggest person they brought on there, like Scott DeWaz, but he never actually showed up. They just ran his videos, I think, on their network.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I mean, they had Adam Sessler came back, but he like rarely ever went into the studio.
Yeah, and he's not going to get 25K in appearance. I mean, like, I'm so confused by this story. Who are they giving 25K for to an appearance? You know who they probably gave 25K to an appearance for? Amouranth. But she only showed up, you know, that one time to jump in the ball pit, which got them, you know, a bunch of coverage.
A lot of shit.
Stuff.
A lot of shit.
Yeah,
because that came after the Frost thing.
Yeah, but let's be clear, like guys like Gerard the Completionist who are there, you know, every day, we're not getting 25K a day.
No. Gerard wasn't. And I've known, and I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I've known Gerard. I know I said this on Max's stream, I think. Like I've known Gerard since he worked at Best Buy, like back in 2010. So before he became the Completionist, I met him. And so I don't believe he's done anything bad. He's always been an upstanding guy. So,
no, I don't think he did anything bad.
I just think, well, they didn't know what the fuck they wanted to do. If they couldn't acclimate to where they are, to where things are.
I'll tell you this. So I have an inside guy at G4, and
I've seen your video. You got a lot of shit for that too.
I know. Fucking what's his name? Adam Sessler got mad at me. What I understand is that they went into this and they said, esports is the future. We're going to be an esports channel. We want to be like ESPN, basically. The problem is that like esports are not there yet. Esports isn't ready for an ESPN. So they're like, well, as we build that aspect of the network and whatever else, why don't we do the classic G4 stuff of just talking about video games and getting gamers into it and that sort of thing. But the problem is that they were at odds because Frosk came from the esports side. She was a caster for like League of Legends.
Yeah.
They had a couple other guys who were like obsessed with esports and shit. And they had guys like Adam Sessler and the Completion and Gerard who are kind of like more mainstream gamer guys and talk about, you know, whatever else. One thing they were missing was any young people. I think the big problem with the network was, you know, if you're like a 15-year-old kid who plays Fortnite, what were you getting out of G4? You go on their channel and they're doing like, hey, remember Jade Empire for the original Xbox? And I'm like, no 15-year-old kid is going to watch a review of Jade Empire.
Yeah, wasn't that
the year 2022?
Yeah, that was like 05 or 06 or somewhere in there, I think. Or no, maybe 07. Yeah. It was like no one's gonna think much about. No, that was original Xbox. But yeah,
this was a network that had no idea what they were doing, and they thought, well, as long as it's about video games, it's fine. And it's like, no, you needed to like pick a lane and run with it. And the lane they picked was just like, I mean, if you look at their channel and the videos they were putting out, they're crazy. The content they were putting out. I'm like, no one is going to click on this.
Let me see if I can bring that up here. It's a G4 TV. Is that
look up XPlay because that's their like main channel.
Oh, okay.
Because they switched it over.
Oh, were they trying to capitalize on the XPlay shit?
They changed the name, so the XPlay channel became the G4 channel. I think because XPlay was like their main. I don't know why they did that. It's weird. At one point, they just swapped the names of the channels.
Yeah,
so the XPlay channel actually became kind of like their main channel, I think.
Okay, here, I'm bringing that up right now. Nope, fuck, wrong one. My bad. All right, let's see. There we go.
I mean, they were updating both, but I guess XPlay was where, or the G4 channel was where they're putting like stream archives and news, and then XPlay was where they were putting their like video essays. But the video essays, I mean, zoom in. Look at the last video they put out before they went out of whatever. Just zoom in. The Weeknd is the Metal Gear Solid of pop music. Can I break down like how stupid a fucking idea that is for a video? Again,
and it's 35 minutes.
Yeah, and okay, I don't listen to The Weeknd. I don't know anything about The Weeknd, so I'm not clicking on that. The last Metal Gear Solid game came out in 2015, so no kids are clicking on that. You have come up with an idea for a video that appeals to like nobody. And scroll down, look at some of the other stuff they had going on. I mean, all these retro reviews of like bring back Bully, bring back Star Fox Adventures, Resident Evil 4. I'm like, you guys, I feel like I've traveled through a time hole back to 2006. We're talking about like all
Dead
these
Island.
Dead Island 2. When did Dead Island 2 come out?
Well, it hasn't come out yet, but it's like it's coming out next year. The original
Dead Island was from okay. So what's changed
2014?
From 2014. Scroll down a little bit more because you'll see like all these retro reviews they were putting up, and I'm like, no kid is going to click on any of this shit. You have to understand your audience is playing Fortnite. They might be playing League of Legends. They're playing what do you call it? Overwatch is out. Where's your video about Overwatch? Bring back Marvel Nemesis. Bring back Bully. Bring back Star Fox Adventures. Why would you, on God's green earth, make a video about Star Fox Adventures in the year of our Lord 2022? Star Fox Adventures came out in 2002.
Yeah.
That was like a Generation 1 GameCube game. And you wasted your recent... Again, who's going to watch a video about Jade Empire? This is crazy.
I mean, I can see like if they were doing the video essay stuff, I can see people going back to Jade Empire. I could see that as like, because it's coming up. If
you're one guy and your channel is you're a retro gamer who makes retro reviews, and that's fine. This is a channel with like several hundred employees, and you're not going to feed them with retro reviews of Star Fox Adventures. Like, yes, okay, there is an audience for that, but the audience is so minuscule. And let's be clear, all these like this whole retro review and let's look at old games, like the if you were doing that in 2015, you would be out of date. Doing that in 2022 is bizarre, is crazy.
I mean, like, here they get into like the Evil Dead. They got Bruce Campbell to pop up for a crossover. Like
yeah. Well, that's the other thing is how their thumbnails are terrible. That's the other thing is like. If you're not getting any views on your videos, why
change
would you
your thumbnail?
Change up your change your thumbnails.
Change your thumbnail and change your title. Yeah. Arguably changing the title probably more so than the thumbnail in some cases, but it's kind of like, I mean, like this is also, to be fair, and I'm not saying I'm any fucking better than this shit, but these are very similar thumbnails. It's just there's nothing there that's like gonna catch the eye. Obviously, like the chaos of Stranger of Paradise, it's like that's fucking 6 words, right? That's 6 words.
You need to hook me. I need a hook.
Yeah.
What's the hook? First look at Stormgate. Well, that's not a hook. I don't even know what the fuck Stormgate is.
At this point, you tell me something's called Stormgate, I'm just like, are there tiki torches involved?
Exactly.
That's where I'm at with that shit.
Weird West review. Okay, here's a perfect example. Don't call your review of a game. Because let's be clear, I haven't heard of Weird West. Have you heard of a game called Weird West?
Yeah, I played it.
Okay, well, that's a weird... You're not making my point. But I think most people have not heard of it, because I fucking haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Say, like, the crazy cowboy game that lets you do this. And I go, oh, what's this? Like a hook. So, like, we play cowboy let you do zombies or something.
Yeah, you're roboting a little bit there, Vito. Hold on a second. No, it's okay. StreamYard likes to bottleneck sometimes. But no, you're right. You're right. I would say like they probably need to work on like look how Control became an instant cult classic. Like I love the game Control, but like that game's also years old and shit. But yeah, you're still you're beep bop booping like Gina Carano's Twitter account. Yeah, okay. Chris the Bipolar Jedi here says, was that Frost reviewing Fallout 4? That shit's old as fuck. He's right. Moisture here for 5 bonus. Thanks, buddy. Says, as someone born in 2003, I had no idea what G4 was or why it's relevant. Oh, dude, yeah, you are definitely behind on that one. G4, I mean, my very was E3 04 or 03 was when G4 was there giving out free tattoos, and like so G4 like hit the ground running like 20 years ago.
That's one and two.
Yeah. That was I always enjoy. Yeah, you're here. I can hear you, man. I can hear you.
Yeah.
I know sometimes StreamYard gets a little funky. All right. Yeah, there's just some like I agree with you. I think that they didn't bother to try to like work within what is doing right now, like what people want. And, and I've thought about going back into game coverage because I enjoy playing games, but I'm like, I don't fucking know what people are going to want out of this shit anymore. It's the same problem I have with talking about movies. Unless you're shitting on a movie, like no one really seems to give a shit.
Yeah, negativity. Well, there's a reason. I don't know. Negativity is very popular. It's hard to find room for positive content, sadly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way I view it is though, like, I'm pretty sure you'll probably agree with me on this one. When G4 was announced to come back, I don't think anybody saw it lasting a long time. I think we all pretty much figured out that it was going to most likely die within.
I mean, they clearly did. They fucking blew all their money on a big old office and all this talent. I don't know what their thinking was.
I don't know. I think they probably thought that they could make it work because their idea there would be to bring in advertisers. Like, we got Adam Sessler, we got Kevin Pereira back. We're going to do Attack of the Show, but it's like a kinder, gentler Attack of the Show. You don't have Olivia Munn bouncing around. You don't have Morgan
they lost
Rebb.
their balls.
They lost their balls, and it's not to say that they have to do that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to like rely on the overt sexuality or things along those lines, or even in some cases sexual exploitation. Even though Olivia Munn had backed it up and she had kind of played into the gag, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's what they should have relied on. But they definitely lost the early 2000s edge, and that is something that I think a lot of people probably wanted more from, or at least to like you see if you ask people or you read the chat early on and whatever, there were people that were saying like, oh, I miss like Tech Talk. When G4 took over Tech TV and just appropriated all that content, that was definitely a problem. But now, I mean, like look at Watch Mojo. Whatever you think of Watch Mojo, they're still going strong. Yeah. There's even I have a Samsung television. There's like free Samsung TV channels, and one of them is just a Watch Mojo channel, and all they do is just run Watch Mojo videos 24 hours a day. That's it. But like.
Yeah,
people watch it probably.
They should have. Look, I honestly, the idea of being like an esports network, it's not the worst idea in the world, but they needed to say, listen, we're going to reboot G4. I don't know. It probably didn't even need to be associated with G4. It definitely didn't need to be a TV network yet. You're taking a huge risk on a space that isn't even established.
Yeah.
I think that's the big problem is like, why'd you make this a television network? Why didn't you say we're coming back as a web-only thing? And if that finds its ground, maybe then we'll establish being a TV network. I think the problem is you come from Hollywood and they don't want to invest in a big YouTube channel. They don't give a shit about any of that. But I don't know. There was nothing here, and they hired the worst possible people to try and make it work. I like the completionist or whatever, but it's clear that like his talents are making YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Not producing like broadcast television.
Well, I remember what he said. He had made a comment a while back saying something like when they first his like agent contacted him about G4 and he went in for like a chemistry test.
Yeah.
With the other potential hosts. Like so they were really trying to make this a personality driven.
I don't understand that personality test. I tried to watch the first episode of X-Play. I somehow found whatever the first one was of the reboot. Yeah. There is no chemistry at all. It was like the most awkward thing I'd ever watched. It was him, Frosk, I think that guy, the Black Hokage, and it was just fucking terrible. And you could say, well, maybe it's growing pains, but if you go back and try to watch it, I'm trying to see if I can find it just to remind myself what it was, which one it was. I don't know. I didn't like any of the hosts. I tried watching some of it. Did you ever try watching Frosk's comedy show, Boosted?
No. The only thing I've ever seen from Frosk is that rant. And that's it.
The most embarrassing part of the entire X-Play experience was that somehow Frosk pitched and was approved to make a show which she referred to as the SNL of video games. And it was her and her buddies writing little skits like a comedy show. It is unbearably bad. Like, they are not funny at all. They didn't hire any comedians, any improv performers, or anything. It was literally just Frost being like, I'm funny. I can run like an S. That's the thing, is like, they kind of just let the inmates run the asylum and didn't tell them, well, no, we hired you because you know about esports. You're not actually like she's a terrible host. She's horrible to listen to. So I don't know. I don't know who was planning what here, but everything that they tried was just terrible and like cringeworthy.
It felt like they were trying to do something, like the vibe I got was QVC. And it's just like, because they would have like the crew from behind the camera like clap, you know, like it's an audience watching them. It's like, no, these are just your fucking employees. Like, who gives a shit? But they're just looking at the camera like, if you call in the next 25 minutes, you can get this this jewelry for half price. But you're right. Like, the thing I saw from Frost, like, was not only that, but they had this like game show thing on there with like one guy dressing up like an old woman and then like trying to be like really over the top and cynical, kind of like a weird church lady bit. They had like Hassan Piker pop up on there. I think Amouranth was on there. Like, you could tell they were trying to bring in local LA streamers that would potentially have a bit of an audience to kind of like work with them. But Hassan is kind of cringe. And unless Amouranth is, in a hot tub, it's kind of like, what's the fucking point? And I don't mean that to despair, like her work ethic, she's got money way more than I'll ever fucking have. Obviously I feel bad for her
Amouranth. But I don't think what she does takes like, talent. She just figured it out. Look, I'll say I don't know.
I mean,
it's smart to realize no one else is throwing their tits in a fucking ball pit and playing League of Legends. I'll say that's smart.
Well, I mean, if you recall, we can move over to the Amouranth stuff, because I mean that is very interesting. But it's like when you look at remember Casey Tron? That was a big thing from a number of years ago, where she was heavily criticized because she would just put on makeup and then put out her girls, and that the camera had a high angle and just coming right on down, and that's what it was. And like,
Amouranth is as talented as the top OnlyFans performer. Sure.
Is she the top OnlyFans performer?
I don't even know. Is she on OnlyFans?
She is. Yeah, she's on OnlyFans. Like, apparently, like, and this is the thing too. Like, I looked up her Twitter today, and her Twitter is just full of like soliciting OnlyFans. That's all it is. Did you see the video coming out of TwitchCon the other day with the guy wanting to get an autograph from her?
Is that the one where he like bends down so she can step on him?
Yeah. I showed that on stream the other night. It's just like, this is how far society is falling.
Good for him. Who gives a shit at this?
I mean, if that's your kink, that's your kink, right? Like, fuck it. But it's just like, that is, I think, in essence, what she is. And, I mean, look, I'm friends with many strippers. I, knew the scene in San Diego really well. It's very similar in the concept of it. It's just like, it's just establishing a relationship with these people that come on in. And these are like lonely guys. Or married guys that just like, they're looking for a little thrill. And you're
their
like,
pretend girlfriend for the 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, it really is. And like, you throw money at them and shit, and it ends up just kind of blowing up. But what we've got, let me just pull up the article here, is so, last night it was all blowing up. I did cover it a little bit on the stream, but it was also like, 3.5 hours into a 4 hour. So like, no one saw it, but she reveals here that she's married and being abused by her husband in concerning stream. And the big takeaway from that was that people were like, hey, she's fucking married. That's bullshit. Did you catch any of that?
That she's married? If you didn't think she was married, you're an idiot. Like, come on.
This is Keemstar. This is a Keemstar post. He deleted it, saying clearly husband is abusing. She showed the text, but Amouranth herself has scammed so many guys online, claiming she was single for years. These Twitch streamers don't care about their viewers. They all just use you and your low IQs to fill their pockets.
Look, I got no I don't know, man. I don't talk about my personal life. I don't think anyone's watching me hoping to be my girlfriend, but it's not scamming. I don't know.
I don't think it's scamming. I think you have to go. I think like, you can't sit there and be in a position like that and have that many people, that much money coming on in, and not think that like that person's gonna have someone to go home to after they turn off the camera. You know, like people are like, if again, it's kind of like
giving $5 to a stripper and thinking,
you
she's
give her
single. No, this is not part of it. All right.
So like Plushy here says, did she scam them? Like, no, she didn't scam them. If there was definitely like,
She said, is there on the terms of service for her Twitch channel, does it say about, I implicitly agree that one out of you lucky men will win the chance to be my husband? No, it doesn't say that. It says I'm going to play video games, and if you want to give me money, you're welcome to do so. Whatever contract you've come up with in your head, that's on you, you fucking cuck.
There's a lot of lonely people out there that like I always just assume, like when I was younger, I'm like, I just assumed like every girl had a girlfriend or had a boyfriend, until they specifically said otherwise.
I signed up for an OnlyFans this month, but I'm just gonna rip all her nudes and then unsubscribe. So
you don't. I mean, there's other.
You're saying, do I send her messages or something? Oh, you're saying there's other ways to get porn?
There's other ways to get those images.
No, this chick's a fucking freak. I want the new shit.
Oh, what, Amouranth?
No, not Amouranth. The chick I signed up for.
Oh, well, who's that?
She's fucking nuts. I'm not telling you. She's my secret girlfriend.
Oh, okay. There was like, I mean, I've seen some instances where like, some girls, and I don't know if Amouranth does this, but like some of these OnlyFans models, like they'll DM like suggestively with fans, and they'll flirt in the messaging.
That's part of it.
Sure, that's absolutely part of it. Part of me then goes like, okay, like I can see then at that point that guy's like, yeah, I get it. Like if you go to a restaurant, your favorite restaurant, and there's a waitress there, a server there that you really like, and she's really attentive to you, and she's like putting her arm on your shoulder and like, hey, hun, welcome back. And she remembers your order, and she, I can like, there becomes this like parasocial attachment to that, because you feel that this person is really interested in you, when in reality, she knows you're a repeat customer. She just remembers what you like. She plays it up because she thinks that you'll give her a tip at the end of the day. If she does, she creates a comfortable experience. So then you want to come back there and eat. I mean, this is just
that's on you. It's on you for being a fucking idiot.
It absolutely is on you for being an idiot. 100.
Well, that's why I'm saying Keemstar is wrong, because like any guy who goes, what are you fucking retarded? There's like thousands of people watching her. She's not going to do anything with you.
Yeah. And
if she's leading you on, what? Like she's being flirty. Okay, well that's nice. Isn't that nice of her? She's a little flirty with you. Does that mean you got to get married? Doesn't that mean she sends you a message and says, well, thanks for being such a helpful guy. It's a nice thing for her to do.
Yeah. It's
here's my problem with Amouranth is I don't care that a millionaire is having relationship problems. I don't care. I don't feel bad for her.
Okay.
Everybody like here's the thing. People are going, oh, she's trapped in an abusive relationship. I'm like, well, I mean, it's going to be really hard to escape with those millions of dollars she has in the bank. Get out of the relationship. What are you talking about? Oh, but it's so hard and it's so sad for her. I'm like, not really. Like, I'm more worried about kids in Darfur getting their arms cut off, because they didn't mine enough sulfur or whatever the fuck. Like, this is to me the height of first world problems, that you go on Twitch and you go, oh my God, my boyfriend is being so. What did he say? He said, like, go stream and make us more millions of dollars, you dumb bitch.
Something like that. I got the video right here. I just want.
Well, I hate to say it. I mean, he's got a point.
Like, he
doesn't have a point. He's not saying it in the nicest way, but you got to be like, baby, it's free money. You just shut up and stream. But let's hear the actual.
Yeah.
Why did you say you were going to kill my dogs?
Leave the house.
Okay, I can leave you know what? Actually, I shouldn't leave the house because my dogs are here.
Also, she owns the house, probably.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. You're asking the question. I'm telling you, and you're answering my fucking telling you, literally.
What are you saying? You just told me you were gonna kill dogs if I didn't do a 24-hour stream.
Nope, did not say that. Now you're just fucking being a liar.
I'm not.
I said I'm going to tell you what I said in terms of the earlier, because you're still saying that I didn't ask a question. You said a statement. Did you say that?
I'm laughing. What is that even? What am I supposed to take away from that clip? That she's crying and her boyfriend is mean?
Well, I mean, like watching it again, while she's like he's berating her, and
you said you were going to kill my dogs. I'm like, well, I didn't hear him say that, and he's not saying it now. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Well, at one point, like, he's getting ready to respond, and she starts looking off at like the monitors, and you can hear the mouse click. So it's like she's doing something else.
She's clicking around.
She's clicking around. Yeah, so you can hear it again. So sure, about right over here.
I'm asking the question. I'm telling you, and you're interrupting my fucking telling you, literally.
Okay, look at her eyes.
What are you saying? You just told me you were gonna kill dogs if I didn't do a 24-hour stream.
Nope, did not say that. Now you're just fucking being a liar.
I'm not.
I said I'm going to.
Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear a lot of clicking.
There's a lot of clicking going on. That's kind of weird.
I don't here's the thing. If you're having an argument with your boyfriend, like, figure your shit out.
Why are you on stream? Yeah.
Why are you on stream? And here's why you're on stream. Because you want everyone to hear your boyfriend yelling and get sympathy points and make him out to be the bad guy. When in reality, I don't know what the fuck's going on. And the idea that have you never yelled at him? Okay, yes, you're in the position of you have millions of people who you can broadcast this to and get them on your side. I don't know what the fuck this guy is supposed to get. Next time when I say, all right, what is this nonsense?
So this is her evidence where she sends, like, she shows
They're saying
off.
It's to expose him in your chat. To expose him of what? That he's yelling at her? I've been in arguments and relationships. Okay, people lose their fucking minds and they yell. What is being exposed here? What did he do?
Well, this is apparently, like, he had threatened to kill the dogs. Okay. She has text messages here that allegedly.
Why would he kill the dogs? This makes no sense.
Well, he doesn't sound the most stable in the phone. Like, he sounds
right. So what put him in that state? Why is he upset? What happened?
Let's find out.
That's the context she's not giving.
Or at least that people aren't clipping, at least that I found.
Cameraman, we're in the house now. It's like, the next time when I say plan, do it. Dumb fuck, do you understand? Like, what plan are you talking about? It's like, fuck this, I'm calling you. So I disappeared from stream. Take a call. So I can't tell them I can't talk right now. We're getting Wi-Fi. I don't care. You get the call now. Last chance. About to dump your luggage. From my hotel room. But throwing your stupid merch off the balcony. Proceeding to ditch your stuff. You don't need the makeup or the live view, like the stream epic, or the clothes, huh? Deleting social media in 1 minute. Buying options that expire and blasting the cash. About to shut down your bank account too. Lag is terrible. Stream is garbage. It's like, about to delete Twitter in 30 seconds. If you don't call me, your phone's literally off, right? I'm just like, it literally died. Gonna donate $250,000 to Polo Missy. It's like a bird sanctuary he likes. In the next 2 minutes, $250K gone. We'll donate.
Okay,
so,
did he do any of that? Did he delete
that?
Twitter?
I honestly do not.
Did he donate all her money? No.
Look,
he probably lost his mind. He's angry about something. He's trying to dig at her. Okay, so he's unstable. Get a divorce if you think that you're in a bad relationship. What do you want, millionaire? What do you want?
I don't know.
You have all the money to handle this situation. Why are you live streaming this? What are you trying to get?
I don't know. I just find that to be like fascinating in these scenarios because, like, as far as I know, there's been no update since last night, and there's been a lot of hot takes on Twitter today, like Keemstar, and you get people like Jacksepticeye and Ethan Klein that are like on the other side of that. And Keemstar deleted his tweet, but Keemstar deletes tweets, so there's, not too worried about
People
that.
are saying, well, it's complicated because he controls all the social accounts. Okay, well, you have enough money to save up to literally retire. So why don't you step away from streaming and OnlyFans for a bit of time, get a lawyer, and figure it out?
Yeah.
But the idea that you're going to go live and I don't know. I don't understand this situation. I don't know what's going on. I'm getting a one-handed account from Amouranth saying this guy is an abuser when the only thing she has is, okay, he lost his temper and he yelled at you on the phone and he sent you some unhinged texts. Okay, it doesn't look good. But I honestly, the number of people are coming out and going, oh my God, Amouranth is the ultimate victim. This is a millionaire woman who's in a shitty relationship. Divorce the guy. If he has your accounts, then sue him. But I'm not going to waste my time. There's so much else going on in the world that I'm not reserving any sympathy for this woman. Other than, yeah, I hope your situation resolves itself.
Well, it's like, okay, so I don't want to like in any way. Yeah, I'm not trying to slut shame or nothing like that. You know what I mean? So I'm like looking at her OnlyFans, and I'll bring it up with no nudity or nothing like that.
This is like Jeff Bezos telling me his wife hit him. I'm like, well, you probably have a way to deal with that, you know?
A hitman, perhaps?
I don't know. I'm just like, I think you are equipped to deal with that situation. Yeah, it sucks. But I'm not going to pretend Amouranth is the greatest victim who ever lived.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, so she says here, like limited time offer, 70% off for 31 days. First time filming a double scene with male performer. I drain him twice in one video. Now, the thing about this, though, again, no shade, no nothing like that, right? But the reason why I find this to be weird is like this guy's like calling her a dumb fuck, and he's attacking her and attacking her and attacking her. Like, you could almost look at all of this shit and just go like, yeah, it's most like there's some kind of manipulation that's happening there. That's the way I view it.
Of her? Well, people are saying he's her pimp. And I'm like, she seems like an adult woman with a fucking agency. If she doesn't like the situation she's in, then get out of it.
Well, so your good buddy, Mr. Girl,
the king,
posted this on Twitter. Let me just bring the. So he says, this is why you don't do therapy sessions in public. The abuser is watching, and an adept abuse victim will appear to be vulnerable when they're not. Amouranth's public suffering was monetized by both Healthy Gamer GG and Twitch, but she was not helped or even seen. And this is what he posted. Do you know any context to this at all? Have you seen this?
He hates the guy on the left is a guy called Healthy Gamer. He's like a fake therapist because you can't legally practice therapy.
Oh, I've heard. Oh, yeah. I've heard about this. Didn't he do like a huge like video on this guy or something?
Well, yeah, because one of the guys that Dr. K was supposedly coaching ended up killing himself, and Max was like, "Yeah, because you're not a real therapist, and you're not actually helping these people."
Yeah.
So what he's saying here is this is the kind of performance that Dr. K does when none of this is real therapy. Amouranth isn't even actually being honest about what's going on. And I guess that's what this clip is.
Okay. Spherical Manor says there's another video you haven't seen then, Matt, because there's one where she says the threesome was his idea.
Say no. You're a millionaire. You're a multimillionaire. Say no. You have agency. You dumb. That's what's driving me nuts about this situation. Is everyone sees a crying woman and they go, well, she's unable to say no to a man.
DM me that video.
And I'm
Chris.
like, she has more money than I'll ever have in my life. She can walk away at any point. She's not beholden to this guy at all.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, I guess there's more context through a critical video.
Yeah, you might do better with this one than Mr. Girl's.
Yeah, I came across it like right before going live because I was like looking it up real quick. So
it's just gonna be a critique of Dr. K.
Right. Fucking, I totally forgot to play this. I want to play this one real quick. Let me while I'm waiting for that information to come on in. Are you familiar? Oh, come on, goddamn fucking YouTube work. Are you familiar with Adam Sessler and his opinion on doxing?
Yeah, he says it's good.
Yeah, this is why I will always hate Adam Sessler.
Deflated and defeated. It really, and don't even give me that First Amendment nonsense. You have every right to say it, and I have every right to call you a fucking asshole and try to find your address and put it out there.
God, I hate the fact that he gets applauded for that shit.
And it's a really weird, yeah, I don't know where that address thing comes from. Like, did he do that to somebody?
I don't believe Sessler did. For the most part, I don't think that he did, that I've heard of. But him saying that,
I'll say this, I think it's one of those things where I don't agree with publishing somebody's home address or whatever.
Yeah.
I do think your identity is You know what? This is a complete pointless aside. I was going to say the only time I ever think
this is one of those
doxing is okay is like, remember when Charlottesville happened? There was a bunch of guys marching through the streets saying Jews will not replace us.
Yeah.
I was like, I think it's pretty okay to be like, hey, that guy, you see that guy marching and saying that Jews will not replace us? His name's Tom, and he, works at this coffee shop in Portland. Because I think people have a right to know who they're engaging with in their community. But giving your home address and whatever else is like beyond the pale. But I think if you appear publicly and don't hide your face or make any attempt to disguise your identity, then people have the right to be like, hey, that's that motherfucker who works at the ice cream shop,
Yeah. Well, I get that. I feel like, well, there was also the incident too with Charlottesville where they did dox the wrong guy.
Yeah, well, that's also a huge problem.
That's a big problem because I mean the internet, the internet never, it's all gas, no brakes.
Yeah,
it's very much like that's why one of the reasons why I think like in Halloween Kills there's kind of a scene like that where it's all gas, no brakes with the town, and they're basically gonna go lynch a dude.
Yeah,
because they
think
that
clip.
Yeah, and it's just people got really mad at that. Like that would never happen. I'm just like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. That would absolutely happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm sorry, Emmett Till. Look that shit up.
Yeah,
absolutely fucking happened. But Benson here did leave a free super chat. Been an IMAX member for 11 months. Thanks, buddy. Says OnlyFans models use the same methods as pastors. Both offer imaginary happiness in return for cash. Neither are true, and neither will bring true fulfillment. Both just leave you broke and guilty.
I'm getting true fulfillment from all this porn. I'm fucking zip driving to my hard drive. You just gotta look, man. You just gotta use OnlyFans correctly. All right. You don't go on it pretending you're in a relationship with the girl. You're there to steal her nudes so you can jerk off to them later. That's the only reason you're here.
I guess. I mean, I've never. Have
you never paid for pornography?
I mean, like outside of going to a video, like I think I bought like a DVD a long time ago. But like outside of like, I mean, maybe but once the internet became a thing, like on that front, nah, I never did. There's no.
You don't back any erotic creators on Patreon?
Oh hell no.
Oh man, you're killing me.
No, I mean, I don't.
How else am I going to watch Zelda blow up like a balloon? Where else am I going to get that content?
I mean, there's some weird shit out there, man. There's some weird shit.
How else am I going to get the girl from Tailspin farting on a cake? Come on, you got to pay for that stuff.
There's, you know what? There's a lot of it out there. There's a lot of horny dudes. I'll stick to what's free.
Fair enough.
Well, and the other side of that as well is I've been in a 14-year relationship. So if I'm paying for access to somebody else's material, I think that's a
like
bit,
cheating.
It's a little bit too far because we're talking there's an investment there. Like if I'm just like scrolling through Pornhub and like that looks good, and then being done and moving on with my day, that's not much of a problem because there's no investment into that. There's no emotional attachment. Now, like if all of a sudden I started archiving every single thing Mia Malkova has done or Riley Reid or something along those lines, that might be a little bit different,
Don't you ever text porn to your wife and you go, hey, why don't we try this?
No, I've never done that.
Oh my God.
It's
spice up the bedroom.
It's have kids, Vito. That's all I'll say on that one. It's like have kids.
There's no time for spice.
There's anyway. All right, so let's take a look here at this critical bit, see what he has to say about it. It's got 2.1 million views like in a day, so clearly he has hit the ground running with this.
Those heavy situations I don't usually like to talk about. I usually aim for the goofier stories where we just kind of point and laugh at some clownery and some general dog shittery that's going on around the internet. But the situation that's happening with Amouranth is an extremely serious one, and it is one that I'd like to talk about since I've seen some of the worst takes all of humanity's ever concocted surrounding this. Now, for those that don't know, if you haven't been on Twitter today, a lot of clips have been surfacing from Amouranth's stream from last night where she went live, well, she was already live, but she unmuted during an argument with her husband over the phone. And this troglodyte sounds like an absolutely unhinged maniac. I watched the entire VOD to get the full context surrounding this entire situation, and I can say with a high level of confidence that this is an actual abusive lunatic. Now, before getting into the clips, I want to make it known that I'm basing that on more than just the phone call argument. Obviously, anyone with ears is going to reach the same conclusion because he comes across extremely abusive in the phone calls as well. But she goes further, showing some of the damage he's done to the house in fits of rage. For instance, she said she locked herself in her room one time, and in response, he kicked the door in, and shows the damage to the door, how it's all fucked up. It's now missing like the hinge and everything, and then shows damage to a nearby wall, and then also shows text messages.
Oh, you're completely disconnected.
Like her career choice. And I think you and I both agree like that's fucking stupid. I'm trying to get to the clips here because this is the first one I think we saw. Oh, there you go. Sorry, buddy.
No? I'm trying to tell you what I heard. You did not say that? Are you saying you did not say that?
I tried to tell you what I heard from you. And then you called me a liar.
Then you tell me, what did you say? No, I did. I said it on purpose. I said it to show you how easily distracted you are. Your window condition. You're lying. You're literally lying to me. I said this. Stop. I said, you're going to tell me what you said? And if you lie or interrupt my part, I'm carrying dogs. That's exactly what I said.
So Big Bang Theory over here hatched the genius idea.
Like that? Okay, I hadn't heard that one yet.
Yeah, well, if he's threatening to kill her dogs, then yeah, he legitimately is fucking nuts.
Yeah, call the authorities at that point.
Yeah, get out of
the house, get the dogs, get out of the house, contact a lawyer, go to the judge on Monday, get a restraining order, and you'll be able to get a restraining order for that threat being right there and then it being everywhere. And then go from there. So, there's that clip. Let's see if there's what else. This one.
My question is just, why is she streaming this?
I mean, look, it can be, you know, in high stress situations, people don't always act in the sanest of manners.
I mean, it's good to have a recording of it for the judge. I'll agree with that. But I don't know.
I mean, well,
clearly
I think
she wants us to see this.
Yeah, well, Ralph's double tits here says it's a work. Maybe it's a hustle or something. I mean, you know, it's like evidence. McLeod here says evidence. Plushy here says to expose him. I mean, like, there's definitely all that, right? Why kill the dogs is very random, dude. Like, dogs are like your children. Animals are like your children. If you don't have kids, a cat or a dog is like the closest fucking thing. You know? Yeah. And so obviously, like, if you love your animals and someone threatens to kill them, that's a fucking huge thing.
So stop streaming, get out of the house. Like, that's what drives me nuts is I'm like, the correct, you know what you have to do right now. You need to get out of the house, go to a hotel, bring your dogs. Why are you streaming? What is going on? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, you know, obviously there's a lot of people that, you know, like, I guess you could say they care. Parasocial relationships and all that jazz, if she is gathering evidence. But I mean, well, I would say also she's been silent today. So if this was a grift, don't you think she would have come out and like really tried to hit it on the head tonight? You know, come out and started streaming, and maybe she did. I don't know. But
all I know is I'm only getting, like, yes, he's clearly unhinged at this point. He's very upset about something. I don't know what he's upset about. Like, are we getting that at all? Like, what it is that they're fighting about?
Well, Meta here says he can come on and explain. Now, Meta, do you know about the about what led up to this? Oh, abuse. I mean, abuse in general. I mean, I think we can. I mean, well, abuse is abuse. Like, we can kind of understand that. You know, why post it though? Record the message, send it to the judge or police. I mean, because she's streaming, so it automatically creates. There will be a digital record of that. You know, but there are times though when you are overwhelmed via stress, you just kind of shut down, and that she might have just responded by forgetting that she was on. The only thing is, like, when she's in this, it might be this clip where I heard the clicking.
The fact
like
where she's clicking around, yeah.
She's clicking around and looking at the screen while he's yelling, and I'm like, okay, I don't quite know. Like, that to me is a little suspicious, but I don't get the vibe that she's faking it. I think some people are trying to claim that she's faking it, like, for cash.
I don't think she's faking it for cash. I think she's baiting him into burying himself legally by saying all this shit on camera. Which, okay, you know, it's your right to do that, but I think it's very calculated. I don't know. I mean, I'm not upset about you collecting information of a guy yelling at you. I just think a lot of people are like, I don't know. I don't even know what my criticisms are at this point.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't want to be a part of it. Like,
sure, I get that.
And the whole internet getting involved in it and like turning it into a crusade, I'm like, I don't know.
But that's how it goes, though. That's how it goes. That's this, like, I mean, it's very, because that's the thing is, like, the internet nowadays is very forward facing. Everything is public, and stuff comes out, and, you know, and like the problem though is the controlling of the narrative. Like, I would argue that in the best case scenario for her putting this out there would be like, this guy would not have the opportunity to control the narrative.
Yeah.
Because all you see from him is that he's unhinged, making threats, attacking her, calling her all these names, and she starts crying on stream. And that's what people are going to see. That's the emotional response people are going to have with that. So it's entirely, so on that front, he's got no leg to stand on. And I mean, but again, it could also be that, you know, maybe she wants to break free and this is how she does it. Who knows? You know, I think.
Yeah, it's all very confusing as to what's going on here. And that's ultimately why I'm like, do we need the court of public opinion here? Like, do you need everybody to go, yeah, telling someone you're going to kill their dogs is bad? I know it's bad to tell someone to kill their dogs. So I just want these guys to hash it out in private and figure their shit out. And again, I look at Amouranth, who's somebody who has the resources to deal with this situation. So, you know, my sympathies are, I guess, limited. I'm just like, you can handle this.
Yeah. So I decided to take a look around 4chan real quick to see what they were saying about it, because they'll dive into everything, right?
Yeah.
And so they talk about the guy, her husband. His name is Nick. And apparently at some point, Amouranth has said that he has a smaller penis. So they are heavily focusing on him apparently having a tiny penis. So you know, no images of said tiny penis yet, which is fine by me. I don't need to see that.
Right.
But it seems like a lot of people are, you know,
talking about this man's tiny penis.
Yeah. Someone says here that his name is really Samju Haido. Yeah, so there's that right there. And man, like, Jesus Christ, I would love it. You know, this is the thing is, though, because of I don't want to say absurdity of the situation, I don't think it's absurd, but because of the overall spectacle of the situation, people are obviously going to dive in and want to be a part of it. You know, we are inherently voyeuristic, and that becomes the bigger issue.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's like, but the thing is, and this is just the idea here, is that we have absolutely no entitlement to information at all. We're curious to know more. As I like to say, humans, we are voyeuristic. We want to know if somebody on the other side of the country is taking a shit right now. It doesn't serve us any useful information, but just to have that info is something that we still like. Yeah, that's why reality TV. I mean, look at how trashy reality TV is. This is fucking reality TV, but it's not manufactured. I mean, maybe it is, but it's you know, generally not manufactured like we see on television. But people don't disassociate that.
I just think that the amount of I don't know. It's hard to put into words. I'm just like, man, there's so many people in such worse situations than Amouranth. And it's like, yeah, you're in a shitty relationship, but I don't know. It kind of feels like she's doing it to get sympathy from the audience and to get everybody on her side, which is probably smart from a legal standpoint. But ultimately, I can't afford any sympathy to a multimillionaire woman who at any point can just like walk out of the house with her millions of dollars and be fine.
Well, I mean, okay, so on that front, like there's definitely some criticism back in the chat there on that. I think that we've seen situations play out before where women have said, I am in an abusive relationship, and there are, there are problems that could be there. I need to get a restraining order, or I need to get help. They get denied because the threat isn't what they deem to be credible in the moment. Then that person comes back and kills that woman, because there was no help being given in that moment when they asked for it. So I can understand like the different sides, but I think we do kind of need to like give her the benefit of the doubt, and until other information comes up. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I guess all I would say is get a divorce. Is she married to this guy?
Supposedly. Yeah, this is like her husband, apparently.
All right, get a divorce. He'll take probably half the money, and that's it. Move your separate ways.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I think you're in a better position to survive it than anyone else. I guess I'm just not I don't know. Like I'm like, I don't even find it interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of crazy people out there. Amouranth seems crazy herself. Yeah,
we're gonna have to oh my god. So I'll show you this. Someone made this for 4chan, and it's so true. This is again on the voyeurism part of the situation. Let me find the image and bring it up here, because I do need to start winding things down. It is 1 a.m. I have to be up in a few hours to take the kids to school. But this is a little infographic someone put together on 4chan. This is all the thumbnails. I think that's another factor why people are covering this the way that they are. It's just It's titties.
Yeah, I find it a gross fucking spectacle.
I get it. Well, I think we got a good take on. Well, I mean, there's takes. I don't know how good they are.
As long as she's not, look, if she came out and she said, "Please send donations so I can survive this trauma," then I'd be upset. But as is, there's no evidence that she's trying to monetize this situation. So at least there's that. That's good.
Yeah. So let me. Because I guess the last thing we can cover tonight, or I don't know what your schedule is, but Ray Fisher posted this little.
What a fucking idiot, Ray Fisher.
I wanted to get your take on that because he was trending randomly, in small circles today. And it says here, not sure why I'm trending, but this would be a good time to mention Walter Hamada still owes an apology to the participants of the Justice League investigation. Had he not attempted to cover for Jeff Johns' toxic and discriminatory behavior, we wouldn't be here now. Accountability over entertainment. What's funny about this, though, is there are a fair amount of people that are just kind of like, oh, okay, Ray Fisher's talking again. Move on.
Yeah.
And it's like,
he only has one thing to say. There was an investigation that we know. Well, I feel like Walter, we know. We've heard it all. You've said it a million times. It's boring.
I know. It's like,
boring me.
I thought it was funny. Some of the comments here, the guy here, you can call me Joker, says you were, like this, all this shit here. Hamada doesn't know you shit. Friendly reminder that the judge you wanted interviewed 80 people and spent 2,000 hours on the case and found that no serious discrimination could be found. But hey, that's not convenient for your narrative. So why don't you try suing? Oh, that's right. You've got nothing. Because he called Joss Whedon like a racist, and like I think like Jeff Johns a racist, and he's all like, oh, the reason why they haven't sued me is they know that they can't because of Discovery or whatever. Like he's made those claims before. At one point he put out, and it might have just been a facetious tweet, but it was still he's like basically like he's like, I'm paraphrasing, but he says something to the effect of, I'll give any journalist $100 who asks Walter Hamada the hard questions, like a question about this while interviewing him. You know, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's kind of like unethical, isn't it? Like you're trying to bribe somebody to like ask them some questions that you could probably just like email him yourself and like get answers to. There's been other people that have come out that you know, potential.
What even
insiders.
are the questions? Do we know what the questions are? Like, what is it? What does he think the
Just
smoking gun
ask him
is?
about the Justice League investigation, why things turned out the way
People have asked him, and Walter Hamada has said, "Well, we did an investigation." I mean, what is left to uncover there? Do you think someone's going to ask Walter Hamada about the investigation? Walter Hamada's going to be like, "Well, I hired a bunch of guys to make shit up." Like, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, it's because the thing is too. There's even another post I saw from Ray that I said something to the effect of Walter Hamada was like the one who hired Joss Whedon. I think it was something along those lines. Even though that Justice League had already come out and failed by the time Hamada even came on to work there.
Yeah.
So he had nothing to do with the making of the movie, nothing at all. And yet they've, you know, he got drug in on this. And apparently what he did, his biggest sin, Vito, from what I can gather, is when Ray Fisher wanted the investigation. Because keep in mind that you had, you know, the big release the Snyder Cut movement happen, you know, years of all that shit. And then finally, May 2020, they announce it. July 2020, Ray comes out and then just like starts this fucking shitstorm in regards to like the investigation. You know, so Warner Media was like, "Hey, listen, we're going to invest $70 million into finishing this fucking movie."
Yeah.
And then literally 2 months later, you know, Ray comes out and just starts fucking shitting on everything. And you're like,
so did he only become upset after Joss Whedon showed up and told him to say booyah?
Yeah, basically. Like, well, what it was from my understanding is Ray and Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder had like worked to develop Cyborg's character for the script. And
yeah,
what they
he was going to
originally
be
shot.
the big main part of it.
Like,
there was a lot of Cyborg
there's a lot
stuff
there. Yeah. And if you watch the movie, there's a lot of Cyborg and it's good stuff. And that is like the emotional heart of the movie, is you could make that argument. And he's passionate about it, which is fine. And then they cut it all out, right? Well, they've also said now, and there's even people commenting on this here. Did you know that they called Joss Whedon racist because of here we go. This Chris Valentino guy who he's part of the this is the dude who does like the Release the Ayer cut account, right? He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
So he's like, Jeff Johns ruined the DCEU and treated his cast poorly. He, alongside Joss Whedon, deleted almost all the black people from Justice League. And then this guy here is like, that is not what happened. Right.
Yeah.
And because that's not what happened. And then he's like, some guy here's like, that's exactly what happened. And then I love this here. This guy, Jacob, goes, it might be a shocking revelation, but in an ensemble movie with 6 central characters, you can't fit more supporting characters and side plots in a 4-hour, or you can fit more in a 4-hour cut than a 2-hour cut. I'd like to see Snyder try to cut away half of Zack Snyder's Justice League and not lose anything. Exactly.
Right, because that's the thing. If Snyder had no way of cutting that down to 2 hours and keeping everything in.
Oh, God, no.
And they weren't going to let him release a 4-hour movie. Like, the whole thing, look, man, it comes down to Ray Fisher. You go, did nobody sit you down and tell you how to play the Hollywood game? It's a very simple game. You go, yes, massa, and you hit your mark. Well, everybody does it. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or any color. No. That's how you play the fucking game. I hate to say it. You got your overlords. You go, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do what you say. And you do it long enough until you get everything you want. I'm not saying you got to like the game, but that's how it goes. All right? And everybody else did it. Fucking, what do you call it? Ben Affleck did it. Fucking Gal Gadot did it. And Ray Fisher.
I mean, look, you can phrase it totally differently. I'm just saying.
I could, but come on. That's
so to go back, someone found that here you go.
You're racist because you thought that was a black voice. That was actually a middle-aged white woman that I was doing an impression.
So you were trying to do an impression of a Karen. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And that was I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, fuck.
That was my impression of Gal Gadot.
Vito, fuck me, dude.
Massa got me working on the Justice League.
Dude, come on.
What? I'm not gonna get canceled for that. Come on. All right, go ahead.
My gosh. Okay. Well, Ray did say this a couple years ago. It's weird how these reactionary announcements from Warner Brothers always forget to mention that Walter Hamada was working directly with Jeff Johns and Toby Emmerich on Shazam during the Justice League reshoots, even though he wasn't actually there when that happened. That's why, again, like there's been, and he's never corrected himself on this stuff. He's never corrected himself when he fucks up. And then also none of the people ever call him to account on it. That's why I criticize Ray Fisher. So
everybody else in Hollywood knows how to play that game. I'm telling you, The Rock does it. Chris Pratt does it. You don't argue. You just go along with it. Oh, you cut all my parts? Oh, you're so smart. That's so smart. You were so smart to cut all my scenes out. And you know what happens? Then you get to make the next movie and you get the same paycheck. Boom.
I mean, I think there's a difference in some respects to having there be a working actor versus more of a creative entity, you know. But I mean, okay. So God damn it.
I really threw you off.
You did, because I'm like,
and I'm really trying not to push it, but I really want to do more of the voice. But out of respect, I won't do it.
Do that over on the Dick Show. All right, like,
all right. You want me to say booyah? I say booyah. All you want to hear me say the booyah, 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 booyah. That's what you do, and then you get another movie and more millions of the dollars from the people in charge. It's a trick. You got to play the little game and pretend you're there, little singing, dancing. Okay. And everyone else in Hollywood's doing it. Somehow Ray Fisher didn't get the memo.
Well, I think what you have to understand, is that like, I think he doesn't play the game properly. But I also think like he's never really been in it for that, because he does Broadway. Like he's on Broadway right now working with Sam Jackson, I think. So, and he's done other
surprised
things.
So that's fine. But that's the career he's going to have, that he's not suited for Hollywood. And he will not be in Hollywood because they just need you. They don't have time for this. They're like, bro, we are making a movie where you are a robot man with an alien heart. Like, don't try and make this Shakespeare and go, well, I don't think my character would say booyah. Just fucking say it. This doesn't matter in the long run. We're not making, pure fucking art here.
Well, okay, so Meta here says, so Vito is pro sellout. Well, here's the thing with that, though, right? He's not wrong. Like, do you know what it even takes to like get in the door with this shit? Like, you move to LA, you fucking pay for an overpriced goddamn apartment in a centralized location because you want to have access to all of the fucking the casting departments and shit. You have to pay for acting classes, pay for all the shit, pay for an agent, pay for everything, headshots, all that shit. You finally get like some small roles that barely pay you to survive. And if you're lucky, you become a working actor. How many people do you know who do background casting, do extra work? Everybody. Do you know anyone?
Well, everybody in LA.
I mean, I'm registered to Central Casting.
Yeah.
I never did anything because like I fit the mold of someone who would have been in a Big Bang Theory episode. And
when they cast you, you don't argue. You go, what do you need me to do?
Yeah.
And you do it. And then you know what? If you keep doing it, you get a job on the next gig and the next gig. And then maybe at some point you end up at the top and you can start going, you know what? I don't want to do that. And they go, well, you've been doing this long enough and you know what you're doing. Okay. But Ray Fisher was not like this God's gift of creation that everyone's clamoring for. And he thought he had more clout than he did. Selling out. I mean, I'll say this: my uncle's a sculptor, great sculptor. Sculpts in he sculpts out of marble that he imports from Italy, which is then cast in bronze. But he gets no respect. He gets very few jobs. And when he was a young artist working, he would see his friends and they were throwing fucking soup on each other and shitting in the street and throwing a frame around it. And he went, "Oh, those guys are fucking sellouts. That's not real art." And years later, he comes to me. He goes, "Vito, you ever get the chance to sell out, just do it. Just you sell," because all those guys who are fucking shitting on canvas, now they're like multi-millionaires making weird fucking experimental art that sells to psychopaths.
I think George Clooney has the best approach to this, though, right?
Yeah.
It's like he did the Ocean's movies to fund Good Night and Good Luck, which I think like got him nominated for an Oscar, like Best Director. Or something.
All you have to do is look at who directed Dark Knight.
Nolan
said, "I want the blank check. How do I get the blank check?" And they said, "Well, make us a couple $1 billion." And he said, "Fine." and he made 3 Batman movies. And let's be clear, do you really think Christopher Nolan sat down and he said, the only thing I want to do is make a Batman movie right now? No. He said, no, but this is my path to getting the blank check. So I'm going to do a good job. I'm going to put my heart and soul into it. But he's never going to go back to making superhero films because that's not where his heart is at. That was him putting in his bones in Hollywood, making the couple billion for the studio, and now he's got the studio on the hook, and they go, well, we owe this fucking guy. Go make whatever you want. And that's how it goes. You gotta earn that.
I mean, like, yeah, or you have to figure out how to finance the movie yourself and then get it made and then get it in the hands of a distributor, right? So, for example, Kevin Smith, when he goes to put together his movies, like, you would go, how the fuck did Kevin Smith get financing for Tusk?
Yeah.
Right? Or Red State. Like, how did he get, like, this not his usual shit. How did he get the money to make it? Well, they have, his movies have done very well in the home video market. They were able to pre-sell DVDs to different regions and raise the $4 million they need for Red State and for Tusk.
Yeah.
And that's how he does it. He goes out and they raise the money through the pre-sales. And then also, like, in the, he does the traveling show. He does the road trip, where he takes the movie from, city to city. Those things sell out pretty quickly, and those tickets are pretty expensive. So he makes a lot of, I think he made like over $1 million with the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, just traveling around, right? Just doing that.
Yeah, just doing shows.
And then for Clerks 3 with Lionsgate backing it and getting it in with Fathom events, the very first night that they had the Fathom event for Clerks 3, it made $1 million. Wow. And Fathom event screenings around the country, because he knows how to take his movies to his audience directly. If you look at the movie Moonfall, which is a god awful pile of shit, Roland Emmerich was able to raise $185 million basically independently to produce that movie.
Yeah.
Because he's got the name Roland Emmerich and he's done all of these disaster
movies. He knows how to trick Chinese people.
And he knows how to manipulate audiences into watching his stuff.
Mostly Chinese people, though.
Independence Day resurgence.
Didn't he get completely funded by China for that movie, Moonfall? Am I wrong?
Not all of China. He got it from a bunch of different, I think, European sources as well.
All right.
But yeah, they do get a lot of funding out of China. And the thing is, though, there was a complaint that was made with Independence Day Resurgence that I remember reading when that movie came out, and it was basically like someone asked, have you noticed that this movie is so dumb? And not the plot being dumb, but the dialogue being dumb. Everything was simple. And they explained it it's probably done that way so it can be easily transferable to translatable to different languages. Yeah. So instead of trying to have a high, like a high end joke you're telling or something, or some, high tier joke, it's fart joke, dick joke, something like that. And you're okay, that can translate into any language that works. And the thing is, that's where we talked earlier about the storytelling devices between the West and the East. The West is very good at creating very simple, formulaic stories that are dumbed down predominantly for, I think, a declining intellectual aptitude in the audience, as well as to try to cater as much as they can to audiences overseas that have to have this shit translated. And I feel that's a kind of slap in the face to international audiences, to be honest with you. So I think they're better, they can comprehend it a bit better than they get treated. But again, it's all about it's like retail. Every week there's some new clothes that come out, the 52 week cycle. Same thing. So it's just get them in, get them out, get them ready for the next one. And it's just, that's what the movie industry has become. And streaming has only kind of fundamentally made it worse. Yeah,
so we're getting a lot of, streaming has made a lot of trash, but I think there's a lot more gems as well. So we're getting the good with the bad.
There definitely, there's good and bad for everything. I mean, I still love watching stuff. I love just kind of hanging out. I'm at the age now where I've got my kids, and, I got a 4-year-old, almost 5, and a 3-year-old, and they understand a lot, so we'll watch kids movies. We watched Ghostbusters Afterlife the other day, for the first time. And my daughter at first was like, "Oh my God, this movie scares the shit out of me." And she's like, "Daddy, it's scary. Daddy, it's scary." And then I'm loving it. I'm having a blast with it. Yeah. And then the next day, my girlfriend's like, "Well, I want to watch Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and they're on Hulu." So she watches them, and my daughter is like, "Well, let's watch Ghostbusters." I'm like, I thought you were scared by Ghostbusters. And she's all like, well, yeah, but I like it.
Scary.
It's fun scary. Yeah, like Muncher scared her. And I'm like, oh, just wait till you see Slimer.
Oh.
You know, and all that stuff. But like, she's into that kind of stuff and she enjoys it. So it's, you know, but that's just like the fun part of being a parent is this watch. You know, I'm looking forward to showing her The Thing. I'm looking forward to showing her Halloween 78, you know, or Alien, or some of the movies that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, like Arachnophobia.
That's
you got your cat? Oh, that's
my cat's attacking me right now. I don't know what he's mad about. What's wrong, Boosh? Boosh, say hi to everybody. He's a terrible cat. That's not true. He's a good kid. Yeah. Well, I'm glad everybody's, man. Yeah, that's the other thing for kids. It's like kids can handle scary stuff. I'm surprised. I think they secretly like it. As long as it's not too scary.
Yeah, like I wouldn't show. I saw someone on Twitter the other day say, "Oh, I showed my 6-year-old kid the new Hellraiser," and he dug
I wouldn't
it.
do that. No,
and I'm like, yeah, no. Like the most I'll go is like Coraline or Paranorman or like Monster House or something in regards to animated scary movies, and they're not even really scary.
Scariest movie is the Brave Little Toaster.
That movie, fuck, man. Yeah, we watched that recently too.
That movie fucked my childhood. There's an entire song. There's an entire part of the movie where all these cars sing about the inevitability of death, and I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? As they're being crushed to death by a machine that crushes them into a cube, and they're like, "Oh, life is pointless, and we all die. We're a bunch of cars." And I'm like, man, kids' movies were a fucking trip back in the day. Jesus Christ.
I feel like kids' movies these days are just like not going to ever.
I think they've realized the psychological damage they caused in previous generations, and they're like, let's not do that. Because man,
all those kids are pretty fucked up. Let's not.
Yeah, some of those movies that would give lasting psychological trauma. Dude, Brave Little Toaster destroyed and the air conditioner gets all mad at them, and he's screaming at him, and he kills him. He basically overloads and dies. Brave Little Toaster is a fucked movie.
There were sequels that were made too.
There was one. Well, the sequel, they go to Mars. I never saw it.
Yeah, that's just like, okay.
I think you jumped the shark there.
We are really out of ideas if you're going to go to Mars with that. So, but anyway, though, man, I gotta wrap this thing up because it's late. I gotta get to bed.
I agree. I gotta make a video about G4.
Go do it. Go do it.
Oh, hey,
buddy.
it's my birthday because it's 1
o'clock. Oh well, fuck, dude! Happy birthday, man!
Happy birthday to me.
If I was in LA, I would take you out for a drink.
Well, I think tomorrow we're gonna do something. We'll see. Though it might be nuts. All right.
You got something planned?
Let's just say, like certain Dick will be there. He's crazy.
Of course. Yeah, I know he's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be like his group meeting my kind of normie group, and we'll see if
a certain person from
I didn't want to mention, but yeah,
I heard that's coming to town. Yeah,
it was like, is it okay if this guy comes to your birthday? I'm like, he can come. It's just gonna be fucking. I don't know who's gonna react to who.
Yeah, so we'll see Here's the thing: if he's there, and I'll just say this, and I'll say, okay, if he's there and shit's getting wild, dude, I'll DM me and like I'll give you my number. You call me. And
you
then
want me to stream it to you?
Just give me just give him the phone. I'll just fucking
let him talk to.
Just be like, hey, what's going on? Convicted sex offender.
I'm just hoping I can get out of there because we're going to like a German place, and I'm like, I just got to get out of there before like the third round of drinks hit.
You're literally going to a German place with people who stream with those who think that like Jews deserved it. So you might
probably enjoy the restaurant.
You'll probably be in for a little. Maybe
I just want a pretzel and a fucking ham roast. That's it. I'm a simple man. I've decided I have a boot. I've decided if I bring my boot to the restaurant to fill with beer.
You know what you should do? You should go and bootleg a copy of Cuties and then just like slip it.
Be like, can we watch this in the
middle? Just like
I don't know what's gonna happen. I haven't seen Ralph. I haven't seen Dick. They've been apparently hanging out this weekend, so I don't even know what's.
I don't even know, man. Someone told me that I heard the other day that
yeah, he's in LA
because I guess he's gonna go see his kid or whatever, and that should be interesting.
Oh, is that why he's in town?
He's coming through LA, and then he's gonna head up to go see his kid for the first time.
That would make sense.
Which, like, I mean, like, as a dad, I'm like, that's cool. But, like, then I look at it and I'm all like, he's a real piece of shit. So I'm like, I mean,
I mean, that whole family, I don't.
That shit's crazy, dude. Yeah. I just dipped out of that shit. I was talking to him for a while, and then I'm just like, no, I'm good. I don't need to, I don't need to get further into this shit. But
it's a nightmare. All right, we'll talk to you. Don't
all right,
forget,
man.
YouTube.com/Vito, of course.
Yes.
And check out my comic book at superkiller.org. I want to launch the Kickstarter in November, so we'll see.
Superkiller.org, better than ISOM.
Oh my god, it's so much better than ISOM. You're gonna actually learn like who the hero is and what his powers are. Like, imagine that. Imagine having an origin story.
Yeah, that's not
90. ISOM is 96 pages, and people come out of it and they're like, I don't even know what his powers are. I don't know who he is. I'm like, what the fuck? What's the point of the 96 pages? It's nonsense.
Yeah, it would have been a 15-page manga.
It would have been a 15-page manga. Man, every manga, fucking go read any manga. If you want to learn how to write a pilot, go look at the pilot for like Death Note, for Naruto, like all incredible pilot chapters. Perfect. As Superkiller will be. Superkiller will also be perfect. Superkiller.org. All right, Matt, have fun.
All right, buddy.
It's exhausting, this world we live in. It's exhausting.
Absolutely. Well, happy birthday, sir, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Vito. God damn it. Always put me in a, like, I'm the normie when he comes on. Like, I play the straight guy when he comes on, and that's, sometimes you got to mix it up a little bit. I like being the wild card, but sometimes Vito comes on and becomes the, I kind of have to become the normie, and that's absolutely all right. There's takes given tonight that you guys may not like or may not agree with. And that's all part of the discourse. Of course, I always look forward to your guys' criticism and your commentary. If you made it through this 3-hour stream, I really appreciate it. Be sure to check out other streams if you like this kind of content. And I will be on tomorrow night for whatever the fuck else goes on in Hollywood. Today was just kind of a weird day, and I wanted to dive into the big news. And also, like clickbait a little bit, I guess. Not even clickbait, but whatever. Anyway, I'll never be a normie. I mean, comparatively speaking, I'm kind of a fucking normie, dude. Comparatively speaking, kind of a normie. But all right, everybody, I will chit chat with y'all on the flip side. Be sure to have yourself a grand day or grand evening. Go watch something new. Go watch something you haven't seen. Watch a new movie. Don't look at Rotten Tomatoes. Just pick a random movie and watch it. You never know what you're going to find. It could be good. It could be softcore pornography. Fucking hell, it's going to be a good day regardless. All right, everybody. Have yourself a great day. Talk to y'all later. Peace the fuck out.